press other button to press this button, so that then we can go to the place where we press the first button and press that one. I'm sure all of this is making perfect sense to everybody.
Button.
Button. Okay. All right, we should be good to get started. Oh, one more button. There, that button's pushed too. Thanks for the follow, Potato. Potato's in the chat with us, so I can say thanks like in person. It's kind of there we go. Okay.
Right. One of the captains from the Tentacle team is in the waiting room right now.
Awesome. Welcome, Zenith. We are on stream, so spare us your profanities that I'm sure you were going to spew in vulgar virulence when you showed up. So, I always feel a little bit silly trying to make introductions in the first, 5 minutes of a stream, because inevitably, 75 more people are going to join the stream, and every single one of them is going to ask, what are we doing? Who are these people? Because I didn't explain it while they were here. But for the sake of getting started, because we do need to get started here, we are starting to get into the time. We are working with a team called Monsters, Inc. Inc., of course, spelled with a K, because this is Splatoon, and we make our puns. We've got 5 members of Monsters, Inc. currently. And then, let me double check and make sure. Oh, we do have that live. Okay. So you'll see their names when they speak in the upper left, but everybody is a member of Monsters, Inc. except for Elevated Potato, who is a coach, and Zenith, who is the captain of a sister team. Otherwise, and we've had Octo Ari on before, so if you remember the VOD review that we did with Ari, she's here, and this is her team. So, we're going to be taking a look at, we'll start off by doing a VOD review. We've got a couple of different tournament sets, and I specifically grabbed sets where we have callouts, and that way we're going to be able to listen in on how the team was talking to each other and what the plans were and all that sort of stuff. We do also have the replay codes for those matches in case it ends up being useful for us to use those. But for the time being, I'm probably going to stick to the VOD here from Twitch. So I'm going to get those open really quickly. In the meantime, that's not going to the right link, to the right URL here. Browser. Browser is the word I'm looking for. Oh my god. So, in the meantime, while I'm getting all of this set up, a couple of... there we go. A couple of questions for you guys. First, run me down, we'll just start from, the Discord order, the first person in the chat and then the second person in chat, etc., and just go down the list. Let me know your tag. I mean, obviously, it's going to show up on screen, but I'm not going to be looking at it for the time being here. Say your tag and then what your weapon pool is for us.
Okay, I guess we'll start with me because I'm the first one. Hi, my name's Blue. That's my splash tag. It's just blue, and then the I think it's size symbol that we use. I mostly play short range shooters. During the VODs that we'll be looking at, I was exclusively playing Splush-O-Matic, but I also play Dually Squelchers, and I've been picking up Splattershot Jr. So yeah, pronouns he, him. I don't think there's anything else important, so yeah. I guess your turn, Potato.
Good job. We're all proud of you.
Hi guys, I'm Potato. I'm not going to be in any of the games, but I play backline, Expo, Chargers. That's about all you need to know about me.
Yeah, we can just go with the team members, but I appreciate the introduction for sure. Ooh, that is very quiet. I can barely hear.
Sorry about that.
Here. I'm going to turn you up, like, you're at 75%, I'm turning you up to 200%. Let's see how that works. Say things now.
Alright, hopefully that's better.
All right, that is significantly better, yes.
Sweet deal. Sounds good. Yeah, no, my name is Lotus, #TTV LotusCH. For the replays, I think I play exclusively Inkbrush, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, mainly I fulfill like Slayer Skirmisher role. I've been trying to branch out quite a bit, so Splatter Shot, and then yeah, that's pretty much it from me.
All right.
I guess I'm next. I'm Major Fuzz, or Major Fuzzy if you include the Psi as a weird kind of Y. That's both my splash tag and my name here. In terms of weapons, I really don't have a definitive main. I enjoy the Brellas a lot, but I'm the first to admit that a lot of other things can probably do their job better in some situations. I believe in a lot of the replays I'm playing Rapid Blaster Pro. But yeah, I played anything and everything, so I'm not sure exactly what I played.
All right.
I am Octo Ari, and that is my tag in the game. I played pretty much exclusively the Dapple Doolies in these matches. Sif, your turn.
Hey, I am Sif. I play mostly Slayer Skirmisher weapons, but I think in most of these replays I played ballpoint.
All right. Thank you, and I think that takes us all the way through. So here we are looking at the first, this is actually, I think, the second VOD that we were given, but we'll work with it. We're just going to watch through and listen, and I won't make too many comments right away. I don't know if that's true. No, that's definitely not true. I'll be talking about it as we go. I lied. I'm a filthy liar, and nobody should trust me. So, with that out of the way, let's get going with our VOD review. This is probably loud, so I'm going to turn this down. And also, I also need to remember to... Oh. It's running on display capture and not on the window capture. So let me fix that really quickly. So apologies. I'll be just a second longer. But I also need to make sure that I am sharing this with the team, because it would kind of help for you guys to be able to see, right? So I'm going to share this in Discord, and then you will be able to just tune in there, and you'll see it in real time instead of having to deal with stream delay. Okay, so that should be visible to you guys now. It might be a little bit lower quality than it is on stream, so sometimes people say that it helps to have both open just for making sure that they can see things properly, but this way you won't have to deal with the delay problem. Also, my air conditioner just turned on. Is that picking up on the mic, anyone?
It is not.
Okay, perfect.
I don't hear anything.
We'll just leave it in that case. Alrighty.
Running.
So I'm going to try and get the volume right here, and we'll also be listening in for the call-outs. So we've heard, I didn't hear exactly who it was, is running stealth, so stealth jump. Interesting. So painting the pedestal to like, I think the idea here is like deny the enemy team the ability to get up it, but they can't get up it even if it's unpainted. So I don't think that it's a huge priority to be just turning around and painting it here. I think the important part, especially early on in Rainmaker, is if you're going to try and contest the pop, you got to get there as quickly as possible, because a team that's as fast as you, if you take time to do anything else, they're going to get there first and they're going to get the pop instead. Since you guys have Dapple Doolies, I feel like a lot of the time you're probably just going to want to contest the pop every single time because they have so much DPS. And so you should probably be able to win it. But leaving the Dapple Doolies alone to paint the shield by themselves is a situation where they could just explode because they have such short range and they can't get away from it in time. So I would definitely focus our efforts on supporting the Dapples and getting the pop and making sure that that happens.
I just wanted to ask real quickly.
Pop!
You want us to be hearing the comms? Is they're being called out?
Oh, they're not being heard, huh? Okay. I will do this differently then. I can share, instead of sharing the stream, I'm going to share the screen, and then hopefully that will allow sound through. Okay. So hop back in for a second, and I will play it again, and hopefully the audio will come through this time.
Nice.
Is that coming through?
Coming
Yep.
now.
Yeah, that works
Okay.
now.
Awesome.
Loud and clear.
Thank you, thank you. All right. So we've got a trade that happens here.
Oh, we got pop.
Nice.
All right. I generally like this idea. You walk forward, you get a pick, and I think that the rest of the team, given that this is that we got pop and that this seems to be the plan, I want the rest of the team following up on this too. Like, I want the Tetras in there. The Dapples looks like they've gone down, but I want the Explo attacking the people who are fighting the frontliners here. So, like, if this is the play that we're making, then whoever's idea it is to be walking forward, I want them calling, pushing left, like, or push left. And that way, everyone's on the same page. So, like, if I do this, I'm going push left as I'm moving through mid to get everybody on the same page here. And that way, everyone's going to align and attack the same players. And even though you go down here, they're going to trade you back because you got the pick first. Like, you got a clean one on the Flingza roller here. And so if they get you back after that, that will make whoever splats you vulnerable to your teammates who can get them back. And now that's a 2-for-1 trade. And that's how this can work well. But if it's just one person walking forward into two players, then that's going to get us less value as the play goes on. So something that you'll see in a lot of high-level comms is that sometimes it just feels like they're just yelling at like one location over and over again. Like, our snipe. And what they're trying to do, both with their intensity and with their repetition, is to get everybody on the team to only be thinking about that one thing because that is what they need to be doing right that moment. It overrides whatever other plans there are. Or just like, this is where we're fighting, go here now. And that's what will get you the support you need to win this fight.
Alright, so the slash machine's moving up toward the middle.
Yeah, I'm good up here.
Something to consider more, especially as time goes on and you get more practiced with callouts, is the syllable count. I heard sloshing machine is moving up towards the middle as a sentence. Machine going mid is a lot faster, communicates all of the same information, and by doing so, you're leaving room on the comms for other people to say other things. They're also getting that information faster. We're not having to wait for the syntax of the sentence to be fleshed out grammatically. Because we all know what you mean if you say machine going mid. It's not like we're losing any information for that. So communicating as fast as possible is also going to be a priority. So that's another thing to be thinking about with callouts. We'll keep going.
They're trying to put out a lot more paint. I'm gonna put right now. Look out on the left.
I got the flings in.
Okay.
Traded with Rainmaker. Oh.
All right, I like the trade with Rainmaker. Trading with Rainmaker is just about always a worthwhile trade. There are very few situations where that isn't, and so going for it is definitely fine. It's situations where you go for the Rainmaker and expect that you won't trade, that you're looking to avoid. Also, if it's possible not to trade, obviously you want to go for that, and this was a situation where it felt like the Rainmaker was maybe moving up a little quickly. So, oops, we're gonna, there we go. We're gonna back up a little bit and see if there's maybe a way we could have played this so that this didn't have to happen. So it looks to me like the Rainmaker, can I go frame by frame on this? No, that is not the way that that works. Okay. It looks to me like the Rainmaker shot back over here. So I think it was actually somebody else in mid who takes out Ari here. When Ari... Is this Ari? Wait, that doesn't look like Ari. Because that's the Tetris.
It was another one of our members who went down. OctoKid.
OctoKid, okay.
Our names are similar.
Yeah.
We did not do that on purpose.
So OctoKid isn't with us here right now.
No.
Okay.
He's in the waiting room right now. He literally just popped in.
Hi there, OctoKid. We're just talking about you.
Yeah, sorry.
All good, all good.
Yeah, sorry, I'm late.
So, we were just talking about this trade with the Rainmaker and whether this could have been done cleanly. Because it looked like the Rainmaker actually shot past you, so it looks like somebody else from mid is taking you out here. Knowing that we're pushing the Rainmaker at this position, it might be good for the rest of the team to be following up on that too.
Look out on the left.
I got the flings in.
Okay.
We do have two members here that are going after the Rainmaker in addition to the Try, and the Try starts to slosh up over the top right as the fight breaks out. So I think that's pretty good follow-up. So you guys get the one down, and you've got a numbers advantage now. So now we can start moving up a little bit as soon as the Booyah comes out and we know where that's landing.
Okay.
They throw it at the Rainmaker, and that's fine because we back up. We didn't get baited into trying to pop the Rainmaker, so we didn't die to the Booyah or anything. I like this sharking.
Oh, watch out for Booyah. And...
Okay.
So we get in here, and from right here, the faster we recognize that the Hydra is there, the better a position we can give ourselves. Because what ends up happening is we swim past this mid block. What we could have done in theory is, you can see my mouse, right?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. I don't know if it can be seen on stream, unfortunately. But this block in mid right here, if we see that we are already past the Hydra, what I would do is I would start firing from right here so that this block is protecting me on at least some sides from the rest of the enemy team. Because when we've backed up this far, now we're in the middle of a bunch of enemy ink, and we're like separated from our teammates. In fact, our teammates cannot reach us because this block is now in the way. So slight positioning thing, but I think this all comes down to, oh wait, there was a Hydra there. And turning around and immediately going after it. And so that's going to lead to a trade where we might have actually been able to get away with that if we had the block here, because the 52 wouldn't have had line of sight on us right away.
Oh.
They got the Rainmaker.
Oh, watch out for Booyah.
I'm listening for what's happening on the comms now. Okay, so it looks like we've got one respawning, one is pretty far back. Calling that you're behind them is a really good call, like when you're flanking someone and you end up behind the enemy team and they don't know. if you call I'm behind them, what that tells your team is we've got a really good flank, but in order for any flank to work, there needs to be pressure from a different direction. If you are behind the enemy team and none of your team is following up, that's what we call a 1v4. But if you're behind the enemy team and the rest of your team is pushing in from a different direction and you're pinching the enemy team between the two of you, that is what we call a flank. So from here, you kind of end up in a 1v4, and yes, because you're behind the Hydra, you're able to take the Hydra out. But we can probably do better than a trade given how strong your position is here. We just need the rest of the team to push in with us to support this play. So calling, again, like the place you're pushing, calling what you're about to do, can signal to everybody else like where they need to position so that they can follow up on it. As a general rule, the frontliners are going to be like micro shot callers. You're going to be the players who call what fights you're planning on focusing on. And like, because you're the ones who are initiating, you're the ones who are furthest forward. So most of the time, you guys are the ones that are going to be starting fights. You're going to be picking fights. But the backliners, you guys are the ones who are going to have the best positions to be macro level shot callers. You're the ones who are going to be able to look at the map state and think like, all right, right side is weak for them. There's a player isolated on right, you know, and like try to target that sort of thing. Or like telling everyone where to rotate to after a play ends. That sort of thing, a backliner is going to be better at because the backliner has a better view of what's going on the map. The frontliner, you're so far forward, you can't see where your teammates are because you're in front of all of them, and you would have to turn all the way around or open the map to see them. The backliner can just see all of that over the normal course of them playing the game because they're taking high ground positions so they can see over cover. They're sitting further back than everyone so they can see all of their teammates right out in front of them without having to turn or look or anything. So I find that teams do well when they find a healthy balance between the backline weapons telling them generally where to go and the frontline weapons just screaming like, get Hydra, get Hydra, get Hydra, and drawing everybody's attention to which fight exactly is going on when they get to that general area. So you guys, you know, can decide amongst yourselves, because I know that on a team, generally, you're going to have a few players who lean more towards shot calling and a few other players who lean towards following those shot calls. And that's a good, like, a good way to break things up, because shot calling is something that draws your attention away from mechanically playing the game and making decisions. Like, that is actually kind of I don't want to say it's like a weakness to be the shot caller on the team, because you're making the rest of the team stronger by doing so. But as an individual player in like solo queue, like generally the shot caller type players are going to have a bit of a lower like glyco power. They're going to be doing just a little bit worse because during any individual game that they're getting, the rest of the teams or the rest of the team members are getting practice on their mechanics and their decision making more exclusively. They're having to focus a lot of their mental energy on team decision making, and so that's taking their attention away from it. I've used this example a whole bunch before, but like I think Prochara is actually a really good example of this phenomenon. Prochara has peaked at like I think 2650 or something in Splatoon 2 in terms of X power. That's really high, don't get me wrong, but there are other top North American players in the 2900s, right? But Chara's team has still won tournaments. And the thing that the solo power is not measuring that the team results are is that Chara is a really, really good leader on the comms. Chara is always playing, you know, the general and telling everyone where they should be and telling them that very accurately. And also he has a really big impact on theory crafting and coming up with comps for his teams. He's one of the more innovative people in the Splatoon community in North America for designing new team comps. And so that gets him a lot of mileage too. So this is all just to say, like, to be thinking about, you know, what role you play on the team. Part of it is to think about like what role you're going to have in shot calling, how much you're going to participate in calling which fights we're going to take and calling generally what parts of the map we want to control. And, you know, what influences your position on the team has on your ability to do that.
Oh. Alright. Finishing all my outfits for the beacon.
All right. So this might be something where we go over the replay code a little later, because I'm not sure exactly what happened there to result in 2 of us going down. But we'll get back into it.
Got him. Got Rainmaker carry.
Good job, good job.
Got my reach slider ready too.
Put rain out.
All right. I like that we're calling out specials. Specials are important for the rest of the team to know, because if you have a special, the next fight you take with it is much more likely to be successful. Oh, and by the way, thank you so much for the donation, Christopher Graves. This is the best Splatoon teacher on the planet. Also, shout out to O Prime. Optimus Prime, we all salute you. Anyway, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Going back to it, calling out your specials is important because generally, you know, in an ideal situation where both teams are playing really well, people probably aren't going to go down to, like, random picks. They're not just going to, like, isolate themselves and get collapsed on. Usually, you're going to need some kind of X factor, some kind of advantage that is, that's going to allow you to break through the stalemate that's going to happen in mid and actually be able to push an advantage and win a fight reliably. Specials are a way of doing that. So, taking a fight when you don't have specials and the enemy team does, that's going to probably be an issue. But once you know that your team does have specials, now you can start being like, okay, we're close to being ready to fight. And generally what you see for the most part, and this is largely left over from Splatoon 2, but generally what you're going to see is once your team has 2 specials, that's a good time to start pushing. You pop 2 of those specials to get your team in and get the fight started. Maybe 1 to disrupt the enemy team, and then 1 to try and splat them, or 1 to buff your team, and then another 1 to displace them. You know, there are some different combinations you can think of here, but 2 specials to get yourself in, and then once the fight is started, hopefully somebody else is getting special in the meantime, and they're able to pop that special to keep the push going. And then maybe the 4th person gets their special after that, and you stagger your specials from there, so you have a steady stream of them going, and you're never left at a moment where you're at a disadvantage on the map. So that's the kind of ideal, slow, steady special push method of moving in, and part of being able to do that is knowing when those specials are actually ready.
Got my
Okay.
reach slider ready too.
So we've got 2 popping shield, we've got the try moving it an off angle. I really like how often the try is taking off angles here. I like how often they're playing a little bit apart from the team, but still in their range. This is exactly the way you want to play as a frontline weapon. You don't want to clump up on top of the rest of your team. You want to find angles where your opponents aren't looking. Well, if there are a lot of your teammates over here, and your opponents are going to look this way, then coming in from the side is going to be more successful for you than going to where the rest of your teammates are, especially since if they shoot at your teammates, they might also be shooting at you. One thing, you know, and this just comes with time and experience on the Tri-Slosher, is just to make sure that you're in range and that you have your aim on before you start firing. Especially with the Tri-Slosher, that's important because the Tri-Slosher is a really high commitment weapon. As soon as you start firing, it's going to take forever for that slosh to end. It just takes such a long time. And if you start firing too early, that just gives your position away, and now they can run away, and you can't chase them very effectively. So that's something to think about, but you do end up catching them here. It looks like you have a flank that comes in behind, and I didn't hear anything about that on comms.
Got my reach slider ready
I'm gonna try and listen for it here. Oh, okay, so the reef slider goes into mid is what happens.
Had
I would recommend with the Reef Slider, you don't necessarily need to dive straight into the enemy team, or if you're going to, at least let everyone else know to like dive with you, because what's going to happen at the end of that Reef Slider is you're going to end up really, really far in, and so you either don't want to do that and you want to trigger it closer to your team, so you want to end it like as soon as you get on top of the first player forward, or you want the rest of your team to be diving in that far, that hard with you right away. But here you kind of just end up separated from the rest of the team because you go the full distance of it. And another danger of using it to go the full distance is that they have time to react to it. Because that trail that it lays out in front of it is going to give you and your play away to the enemy team. And it's going to give it away sooner the further you go with the Reef Slider. Whereas if you just trigger it to get this player right here, there's less time for them to react and get out of the way. And you're also putting yourself less close to the enemy team, so it's less likely they're going to be able to camp it at the end. Because Reef Slider is very vulnerable at the end of it. It has some frames where you're just kind of ending the Reef Slider, but you don't have invincibility. So that's something to avoid.
Who wants to... Should I pick up or reset?
I like this flank, and I like the way that you maintain stealth the whole way through it. Again, would like to hear called that you're flanking left.
Should I pick up or reset?
So the question, should I pick up or reset? This is something where, as time goes on, it will become more of an automatic decision, but it is good that we're having that conversation on comms. Generally, it's if you're feeling like indecisive, if you don't know, I would say just like make a decision and then call out that you're doing that thing, and you can go back over it later. I've said this a whole bunch on stream lately, but like as Shai once said in the top 500 video, it's better to make a decision that's wrong and execute on it quickly than to make the right decision but hesitate to make it. So like I'd rather you just be saying, I'm letting it reset and push up. And then if someone's like, I think we need to reset that, or to jump it off, then then someone can go and grab it. But this way, instead of the question being posed and us having a couple of seconds of not knowing what the team is supposed to do about it because nobody has answered the question, and instead of taking our attention away from the fights that we're taking, like there's a flank coming in while this question has been posed, let's just like do something. Let's just say, leave it, let it reset, or jump it off. And that way a call is being made, the team has something to focus on, and we can move on with our next thing instead of letting the rest of the enemy team back in for free. Also, having called flanking left earlier would have made it so the team is realizing that there is a fight here and the Tri-Slosher isn't going in alone.
Oh. Cool.
Watch out for Booyah.
Don't get ahead of me unless you're Lindsay.
I like that call, calling what positioning you want people to be at around the Rainmaker. You want people to be in front of the Rainmaker to create a defensive perimeter around it. And so unless maybe you've got the Explo, probably you don't want in front of the Rainmaker here, but you want it fairly close behind so that it can protect the Rainmaker and use its range to do so. But if the Rainmaker gets out too far in front by itself, then there are going to be problems. Now, in this case, you ended up being at a numbers disadvantage, unfortunately, because there were only 2 members besides the Rainmaker that were up, and then the entire other team... And actually, no, that was a trade. So there are 3 members on the other team. I think about that as sort of a numbers disadvantage, because the Rainmaker is less of a weapon than the others are. It doesn't have subs or specials. It's very slow. So it's usable, but it's definitely not, you know, the first thing that you would want if you were building a team comp. So something that's a little bit dangerous here is that we don't have a lot of paint around the left-hand side, and so like, let's say we were to get rushed in this direction. There's not a lot of paint here to get us up this ramp, and that's like one of our primary escape routes. So this is something that we probably want at least like one slosh over here so that the whole team can get away.
I'm gonna jump out.
And we do have a member jumping out, although one of them is down. So, oh, and someone's popping missiles from like right here. So while it is important to get the pop here, and we do actually end up getting a splat from that, remember that there are a few other priorities just to make sure that everybody's safe as we're working toward it. I like this play around the side here. We don't want to be standing on the autobomb for quite that long because that's going to give us chip damage, and that's going to get followed up on from the left. With bombs, always try to be as far away from them as possible, because even if you don't die to the lethal damage, any chip damage is still usually pretty meaningful. Like, that's 35. That's one fewer splatter shot that you need to be able to splat someone. And that can make the difference in a fight for sure. Did we know that the left side had collapsed here?
I do not recall.
Because yeah, so in the situation where your team has the Rainmaker, again, we need like a protective perimeter around it. We need people watching the angles that the enemy team can approach from. So maybe that's like you've got the Explo up top who's watching right and mid. You've got someone on the far left, and then maybe you've got someone rotating between right and mid to see like if somebody's pushing from here, then they're there to stop it. If someone's pushing from mid, then they're there to fight it. That's kind of a division of the players that I would think you'd want to look for. Because they get in on a flank on the left, and it doesn't seem like there's anyone in between the Rainmaker and the defending team there. I make a big deal a lot of the time on defense about needing to keep someone between the Rainmaker and the goal. Well, on offense, you need to keep someone between the Rainmaker and the other team, because otherwise they are going to stop the Rainmaker. Like, as a rule, the first person who from the other team who reaches the Rainmaker carrier is going to stop the Rainmaker carrier. So we need to be putting ourselves in between the Rainmaker and those people as a buffer so that they attack us first. Like, it's literally valuable to meat shield for the Rainmaker if you need to just like take the shots. Get down, Mr. President.
Hydra's over here.
I'm dead.
Got one.
They're right under.
Got two. Got the Hydra. Go, go, go.
I just like to go on record and say that Mr. President sounds very silly. Sounds like something that a kid would say to the president. But moving on.
52 gal got me in.
This is really dangerous. This is dropping off a Legend of Enemy Ink kind of thing. There's so much green around. I would definitely paint a little bit around here first before I tried to do anything like this. We've got two members down on the far right here, so they're calling out a position about the player that got them there.
They're right under.
Got two. Got the Hydra. Go, go, go.
Got two. One down here.
52 gal got me in behind.
Oh, and there we go. Yeah. I needed to let the clip play for like half a second longer to see that. But this is, remember, some of you might have seen the video about dropping off a Legend to Enemy Ink. If somebody does that, 95% of the time they are splatted within the next 5 seconds. And so we dropped off a Legend to Enemy Ink, and we got whomped. Another thing to be paying attention to is, like, over here there's a fight going on, and as frontliners, like, it is always, like, you get into the fight, and immediately your full attention is on that fight, and it's hard to call it out in the moment. It's much better if you're calling it out preemptively, because in the moment you usually you need all of your full attention on that fight, otherwise it's more likely you lose it. But we want to know that there's a fight going on the right, and there have been a couple of calls that, while they're not like as immediate and as pressing and as urgent as I would like to see, they are out there and the information is there. We're seeing that there is a fight going on. We're seeing that our teammates are going down over here. So we want to know that, like, okay, all of the teammates that were in that area are splatted. That means somebody over here on the enemy team splatted them, unless they traded. And they didn't say that they traded, they said that the 52 got them. So there is definitely someone over here. And there's a whole bunch of green ink. Like, there are definitely a bunch of red flags about this engagement here that should clue us in that it's probably not safe to be here, and we want to be playing a little bit more defensively. So I'd maybe, like, throw a Toxic Mist over the Rainmaker and be in position to, like, attack them or trade them if they try to go for the dunk, because they haven't gotten the checkpoint yet. But I would wait for reinforcements before I try to, like, grab it.
Look out.
On our ouch.
Because now, instead of having to deal with you sharking the Rainmaker dunk, they just get the Rainmaker dunk for free.
They're gonna
So,
push me.
that's part a matter of just, like, make it absolutely clear when fights are happening so that everybody is either aware of them or can join them and help. And two, of using your kind of solo queue information gathering instincts to spot, my teammates are down, there's someone on the right, there's a lot of ink, I'm dropping off a ledge, like, there are a bunch of dangerous things that are happening there that you want to be aware of. So first priority here, this is Hagglefish, and first checkpoint on the right side enables you to jump straight from the checkpoint area across to the plat where the goal is. And that just gets you 30 points in a single jump. So top priority for the team right now is preventing that jump from happening specifically. One way you can do that is putting Toxic Mist on the platform, on the goal. And so as Tri-Slosher, I would be beelining that so that I can get that down and prevent that play from happening, because that slows them down drastically. After that, you know, you get some paint, you get some information, and you try to figure out what to do from there. Maybe you pop a special. Maybe you just stall and keep that Toxic Mist on the entire time until it resets to mid, you know? You've got a bunch of different ideas for what to do after you've cut that option off, but I think that's the first priority.
I'm trying.
Got 52 gal.
Damn.
And there's that jump. And one of the really nice things about the Toxic Mist there is that the Toxic Mist physically prevents the jump from happening while it's still active. Like, it's not like you need to be in their way to splat them. It's just they simply do not have the momentum to make the jump because they're moving too slowly. So that's something that can stop them even though this fight doesn't go your team's way. Another thing about this positioning here is that as you're moving in, notice how, like, a lot of the map here, a lot of the fight in front of you is cut off by these ledges. You can't really see over the top of them super easily until you get here.
I'm trying.
And so it's only now that you're able to start collecting information that, oh, there's a sloshing machine on left.
Got 52 gal.
And once you're in the air as well, that also cuts off a lot of information from you. You're basically only seeing sky for a few of those frames while you're jumping. So remember to be collecting information as you're coming in here. And, you know, things like my team is going down, where the fight is happening, if someone's coming after the Rainmaker, what the state of paint control is. Those are all things that I think would inform you to move in maybe a little bit differently so that you're putting yourself more in between you and the Rainmaker and also helping your team more with these fights.
Oh, they got away.
Ooh, whoa. What happened there?
Whoop. Yeah, I think you might have accidentally clicked on
Oh, yeah, okay, I see what
a
happened.
little bit ahead.
I think it's just... Okay, here we go.
There we
Here
go.
we
52 gal.
Yeah, so I must have clicked this instead of clicking this. I need to get my mouse off screen and just use the the space bar. All right.
Push me. I'm trying.
Got 52.
So we see a couple of different lines of paint here coming from the enemy team. There's one coming from this direction and then one coming from the left. And those are the first things that I would want to respond to. Because coming over here, like, this is great for stopping players from hiding underneath hut here, but that isn't the priority right now, because the enemy team is further forward on the objective line than this. So us guarding this area here basically just lets them come in the front door.
They got away.
Nice couple of picks there, because you're following up on... first you get the Rainmaker, and then there's an enemy player that you can see is aiming at somebody else, so you're able to just take them out.
Flings the rollers down.
So 2 for 1, that puts us at an even situation. We get the pop, and now we probably want to... This is a situation that's a little dicey, because if they pick it up, they get more points, and any additional points here is adding to their lead. So it is totally worth it for one of them to just run in, expecting to go down, and get even 2 more points off of the score here. So if there's any risk whatsoever of that happening, we want to probably pick it up and drop it down. Dropping it over the front side would be great. Dropping it over the right side would be great. Anywhere we can drop it off a ledge, it's going to get us a disproportionate amount of distance, because they have to get back over the top of that ledge, and they can't like climb up the wall or anything. They need to like go all the way around the ramp, or jump across again, or go someplace else depending on where you drop it. So dropping the Rainmaker off ledges is a good defensive play a lot of the time, because it just buys you so much time for so little time investment on your end. But if you're able to defend this perimeter, then maybe you just leave it there and let it reset. But somebody did just go down on the left, so yeah, I'm not opposed at all to the idea of just dropping it here. And you're going to go down for sure on that play, but this will give the team a little bit of time to reset. Because by the time you're respawned, you're going to be able to get into position before the Rainmaker is where it was before. Like, we've made a net progress on it. Again, painting the goal, I don't like, unless they have green ink already that is enabling them to climb it, I don't think that this is something that you need to be spending a couple of seconds on. I think that if you're further forward in the time that it took you to paint that, you might be able to help OctoKid on the right side here, and you might be able to like have OctoKid go in from the front and you go in from the left and pinch this.
Coming up the right.
Yeah.
But as it is right now, you're far enough back that you can't have an impact on this fight, and it just comes down to you and OctoKid, or to OctoKid by themselves, I should say.
That's there. Second buoy bomb.
Trying to come this way.
There was still someone there, so you've got this person on the right, and then you've got the Booyah Bomb right here. So you know that there's another person here, you run right by them.
That's there. Second
I think we might be tunneling the Rainmaker a little bit here, because all the machine has to do is just shoot you in the back from here. You know they're behind you.
They're trying to come this way as well.
They're trying to...
Alright, I like how we're kind of playing process of elimination here. We're cutting off their options. We're dropping off a ledge into enemy ink, and we actually go down even before then, because remember that when you shoot, when you slosh, people are going to see, and that's going to give information away. So going back to this position right here, OctoKid, I would like to see OctoKid calling for help on right, because there are multiple players in front. And there were people who were probably in position to come and help with that. Maybe say, like, come right, pinch right, help right. Like, help and then a location is one of my favorite callouts. Or help and then an individual on the team is also one of my favorite callouts. Because that makes it very clear, like, move over in this direction and, figure out what's going on with this player. Like, it forces you to interpret what is going on around that player so that you know what help is needed. And that gets everyone on the same page really quickly. And so one of those callouts would be great here, because OctoKid trades the Rainmaker, but I think that, like, if the team coordinates on this push here and they all go in on this, you can probably get more out of it. Another thing for OctoKid to be calling, because OctoKid almost certainly knows this, is the fact that there are multiple players on the right-hand side still. So, got one, two right. And that clues the rest of the team in that there's still more to do where that fight happened. They're not left to come to that conclusion on their own. Because I think with that kind of a call, there are more people here to help the Tri-Slosher on this fight.
They're trying to come this way as well.
They're trying to...
They're trying to pauses to think about it. Just give a location and let people figure out what's going on at that location. That's kind of a good default when you're not really sure exactly what to say about what they're doing. Just be like, 2 right, 1 mid. And because I think there are definitely a number of players here that are in position to do something. They just don't know where the play is at right now because they're just getting back in.
Look out, because they're right. Okay. Heidi's not looking.
So, like, they're pushing right, 2 in front of Rainmaker would be a call that I'd be making right now to give the sense of, like, where the push is going. And what you're really trying to inform is your teammates' positioning. You need them to be in the right place at the right time. So giving locations is often very valuable for getting the rest of the team focused on that area. In theory, you know, in an ideal world, what every call out you should consist of is, and this is if you're locating an individual player, but what weapon they're using, where they are, and what to do about them. So maybe push splash right, or watch out for Explo hut, or something like that. That way, you know, people have all of the information they need. They know where they need to look. They know, like, this is the weapon, so I know my matchup against that weapon, and I know how I need to approach that fight. And they know what is the rest of the team going to do in support of that. But a lot of the time in a team setting where it's, you know, a little bit more complicated, maybe there are multiple members that are involved in this engagement and you don't have time to list them all off and all of their locations and all of their weapons, just be like, 2 right, pushing in front of Rain. And that will give you a lot of information as a team about what to do about that.
Okay, they're trying to make it past that.
Got someone with my autobomb. The 52 gal got me. Careful. They got the Rainmaker.
And like the 52 gal got me. I'm down 52 would be a way to do that. Or I'm down gal. Ways to remove extra syllables from the callouts.
You know what I mean. They're close too.
I'm gonna try to
Ooh.
pick out the high
Woo!
ground.
Good job, good job.
I took down.
Something that I think would have helped a lot in that position is getting a Toxic Mist on this area. There were a lot of players that were trying to move around in here, and that would deny them that space. It looked like you tried to throw one, but you hit the top of the canopy here. So just aiming it a little bit more carefully so it ends up underneath, I think, would have been really valuable there. Because I think this push of theirs collapses a little bit faster if they can't move. And it also is less risky that way.
Okay.
Plus, a Toxic Mist isn't going to empty your entire ink tank. It's not like a suction bomb where you have the option between using your main weapon and using your sub. You can definitely, you know, throw one of those and then still have what you need to win a fight afterward. Okay. So we've got the Rainmaker now.
Alright.
We've got a little bit of momentum. We're painting up a little bit. And we're going to start moving forward. We're a little bit meticulous about clearing this area out. We did just get a wipe, so there is no shot that there is any opponent who's anywhere near here right now. So we can be a little bit faster moving up. Something that FLC made very clear in a VOD review that he did recently about the Rainmaker Cup is that in Splatoon 3 especially, with the way that the maps are designed, what's important after you score a wipe is to get someone as far forward on the map as they can safely be. To get someone, like, on the enemy side, if possible, very, very quickly. So the reason for that is that, here, I probably can't draw, because then we won't be able to see it. But the further forward you are on the map, the further forward the enemy team has to stop before they meet resistance. The slower they can get ground back. And you can always fall back a little bit if you're pressured, but the sooner you're slowing them down, the more of the map your team controls. And the less space that you have to fight for because you're already further forward. So if you only ever get this far off of a wipe, now you have to fight to get this far. Whereas if at the very beginning on the wipe, you're able to put a frontliner all the way up here, even if they're forced to back up to here, that's still more space that you've gained than if you just stopped right here. So especially as like the try or the tetras, I would be looking to take, as far forward a position as possible before I'm contested. So I'm not saying like keep pushing into them even after you see enemy players in front of you that are starting to get in range of you. But I would say while they're all down and they're still traveling back into mid during that transitional period, the further forward you can push, the better. So instead of spending time painting quite as meticulously here, I would be leaving that to other players to shore up, and I would be trying to get further forward to prevent them from getting into those positions in the first place. All right, so we're setting up a push here, and we're trying to go into mid. Now, something that I immediately notice when I come around this corner is that the Hydra's here, and they've got charge. So right now, we probably need to play a little bit more carefully. We either need to put someone around on a flank or throw a special at this player or something, because the Hydra's just going to lock this down. If we can get a flank around the left, that would threaten them, so that would be one way we could get through. Once they run out of charge, we could just try ink-jetting them, because we've got that ready to go. But given the situation where they've got this much control of mid already, and again, I think if we push a little further forward, we threaten them enough that the Hydra doesn't feel comfortable setting up here. But as we push forward, like as soon as we do meet resistance, we do need to play a little bit more methodically. We need to be able to push them out, and diving into Hydra range is probably not going to lead to much. So that's a 2-down situation. Also, the fight that we took in mid was not called out there. If we're going to hard engage, we want to let everybody know that that's happening so that they can support it somehow. At least maybe we could have had the Expo firing shots in that direction or something, if we'd known, but it looked like two different fights happened at the same time. We went down into a 2v4, Rainmaker has no defense, and now Expo has to back up. Actually, Expo's down. So this, in theory, I think is a lost game already, because I think all they need to do is keep the Rainmaker painted their color, and you can't get enough firepower onto the Rainmaker shield in time to be able to pop it.
Got 16 seconds.
But they do end up popping it, and so in theory we can get overtime here. Now, what it looks like they're going to try and do is run it backwards, and so now only 11 seconds. Everyone on your team needs to just hold forward. You need to get to this Rainmaker before it can get too far away from you. This is a really long map. They can probably spend 11 seconds just moving it backwards without running their backs into a wall or anything. Like, they can just keep going with the amount of time that they've got. So we need to get this pick to trigger overtime.
Alright, one of them's down, the Queen's is down.
Yeah, they end up not doing that, but they are putting the Hydra in between themselves and the Rainmaker.
Yeah, they're stalling us.
So
Yeah,
I don't that last push, I don't blame the try at all for going for it. Like, we need to get somebody into mid. Now, the only thing that I would say there is maybe try to go stealthed for as long as possible before firing shots. But there wasn't a lot of ink to work with. That's just a losing situation in general. So looking back, and I think what I want to do now is actually look at the overhead view from the replay code here, so we can talk about it in there. Do you guys have any questions while I'm pulling that up?
I don't have any. What about you guys, team?
Nope, I've got nothing.
Me neither.
Alright. So we've got. I always got to make sure that I get my S's apart from my 5s, because I get those confused all the time. They look very similar in the font on Discord. And I have made many an error with those letters in particular. Oop. Okay. And there it is. Perfect. So it's downloaded. Going to view replays, and I'll get this up on stream now. Okay. And now I'm going to switch what I'm screen sharing so that you guys are seeing from my perspective now. All right, that should be good. So what I'm looking at now is, we talked about the communication just now, and that's about as much as I think I'll say about that for the time being. But now I want to talk about the macro game here and what's happening in terms of team positioning, formation, what the game plan is. So we go for the pop. And now I notice here that there's a disconnect on the front line. Like, I noticed this earlier where, like, Squish was going and diving, and there didn't seem to be anyone else shooting at the same time, and I was saying that I wanted someone going with Squish when we're making this play. OctoKid is still sharking on the back left. So both of these decisions are fine, right? Like, OctoKid sitting there playing defensively works. Squish diving them here works. The problem is not that either of those two members is doing either of those things. It's that they're both doing different things. We need to be doing the same thing. So if we're going to stay back, then Squish needs to stay back. If we're diving, then OctoKid needs to dive. And if we're diving, we probably also want Lindsay pushing up and getting a more aggressive position so that the Explo can reach across mid to land on the players on the other side. So ultimately, Squish goes down because they're alone. I don't know exactly what gets Ari there. It might be Hydra or something. And
It was a Fizzy, if I remember.
Oh, okay. And importantly, Lindsay being back on Hut here is not able to reach any of the fights that are going on when this triggers. So there needs to be a call to get everybody on the same page, doing the same thing. Like, Lindsay and OctoKid are kind of on the same page there. Squish is going in, and Ari is kind of like, wait, am I staying back or am I going in? And is a little bit confused because they're seeing two different things happening on the map, and they don't know which of those two things to follow up with. So that's the strength of the frontliners calling their shots here and saying what they're about to do next, because then the rest of the team knows how to follow up on that, and they can, like, immediately be moving forward to help. So OctoKid tries to hold ground here, and this is a little bit dangerous. We definitely want to be disengaging, rolling backwards, which we are capable of doing, and we do, so that's good. Other weapons, besides the Tetradulies, probably die there, because they don't have 4 dodge rolls they can use to get around enemy ink. Like, you got your feet painted, and there were 3 people in front of you, but because you're able to dodge roll backwards, you're fine. And this is great play from OctoKid as well. OctoKid is the only person on the left. They recognize that there's a flank that's trying to come in on the left, and so they're watching that. And they end up finding an advantageous position. They're able to take out the Flingza. This is all good. Now OctoKid's getting pushed on, and so we want everyone collapsing on that. We do. So that's a 2-for-1 trade. So great job to OctoKid there, and great job to Ari and Squish for following up with OctoKid. I think Squish was maybe like a little bit late to it. I remember seeing that on the video, but like they had the idea to be sloshing up over the top of the block into mid, which is a really good idea, and just needed to be like a little bit faster, and it would definitely come through. So good stuff there in general in terms of like keeping the team together and making the right plays together. We do get forced well out of the way by the Booyah Bomb, and it's important to recognize that because now they're going to get the pop for sure because we're so far away from it. And that means they're going to have a lot of paint control. Like, look at how much of the map there is green right now. So one of our first priorities should be making sure we have escape routes in case they decide to push through this paint. One of our next priorities should be cutting off easy routes for the Rainmaker. So we immediately, attack the Rainmaker, but I would definitely like to see a little bit more of left court getting painted here, because that's one of our primary ways out of a bad situation. And we don't want to just like leave that area open so that they can easily grab the Rainmaker and run to the right with it. So we dive into mid. Let's back up just a second. So it's important to remember right now that OctoKid is still down and is still spawning. Like, they'll show up on the top left right now, but one of the pieces of information to remember as a team is that they're still not here yet. And it looks like we do actually engage this fight in a position where their whole team is ready to go and our whole team is not. Because OctoKid is only back with Lindsay right now. Not in a position where they can really help too much, except they might realize they can help when the Flings of Flank comes in, if it does. Oh, it's not coming in. They're just kind of sharking there. How long do they shark there? I think we still don't know where they are. Oh my goodness. This is one of the longest sharks I've ever seen. They could have protected the Rainmaker there, probably. What gets the Rainmaker here? Is it Lindsay? Oh, I think it's Lindsay. Okay, they couldn't have protected the Rainmaker. There's not much they can do here. So they just stay there. They play the long con. How long is this Flingza gonna stay here? I'm so curious. Oh, wow, and they actually end up whiffing on OctoKid, too. So, here, as OctoKid, if you saw the 52 is there, I would just wait and trigger it, like, right when I get to the 52. So I'm not diving so deep in. Because, like, look at how far away back the rest of the team is. We talked about that play a little bit earlier, but this gives you a better, like, visual representation of just how far away you were at that point. Thank you again for the donation, Christopher. So is left coverage more important, or should coverage be balanced in this situation? Coverage is one of the priorities, because in this case, coverage represents an escape route. Coverage for coverage's sake, like just inking because ink, is not important. What's important is that when you need to run away from a fight, you have a way to do that. And that's what the paint is for. So, like, painting around, let's say, their right side checkpoint here is really not that important right now, unless they're trying to use that area to run away. It might have been useful, so that they could maybe, like, when the Booyah Bomb had them all forced to the right-hand side, they could just drop down to the right and run away from that direction. That's something that could be useful. But, like, there are some corners of this map that are not painted, and that's a good thing, because they're not important right now. Squish is coming in on this flank, and again, notice how far back Ari is on this push. That's because Ari doesn't know that the flank is about to come in. Something that I see a lot of mid-level players doing that I like is they'll say, flanking left, 3, 2, 1, go. And that way, you have a little bit of a countdown for when the flank is going to come in, and you have time to position yourself. If Ari gets that information, Ari can kind of start diving into the left side of mid here and help Squish get this pick, and then, you know, continue the fight afterward. But because Ari doesn't know to do anything like that, it just ends up being a one-for-one trade. So, we probably needed to collapse on the sloshing machine a little bit faster there. The machine is walking into the zone of both OctoKid and Ari here. It looks like OctoKid is going for it. The only thing that I would say for OctoKid is to remember to err on the side of painting in front of the player instead of painting behind them. If you paint in front of them, you paint their feet, they walk onto enemy ink and they get stopped. And now the shots that you were firing that were too far forward are all of a sudden right on target because they walked into them. They walked into the place where you were firing. But if you miss shots aiming behind them, they're able to just continue swimming forward, and so you're not stopping their movement. You're making it more difficult to hit your shots because they're not getting stopped, and they're able to get to where they're trying to go. Even if you paint their feet and don't actually splat them and get forced back, at least you're stopping them from getting on top of the Rainmaker here. Lindsay only has so many shots from that position to be able to support this, so while Lindsay definitely could have done something to help, it's sometimes difficult. You know, you miss a single shot and all of a sudden your opportunity is gone, so I don't blame them that much. Good job from Squish collapsing on the sloshing machine there. Sloshing machine was still further forward than the rest of their team, and so they were isolated. That's an easier pick. So now that Squish is grabbed, we definitely want, like, some support up in front with them. And maybe Squish is pushing a little forward, a little bit fast. They do end up winning that 1v1, which is great. But they might be going forward a little fast, but we also want OctoKid to be prioritizing getting up there with the Rainmaker. So there are kind of two sides to that. Who has it picked up right now? It is Squish. So here, again, is that part where we wanted, you know, the protective perimeter around the Rainmaker. And having two people on the right and nobody watching the left is what leads to this. Lindsay, forced to jump, actually goes down there. So it's just Ari and OctoKid right now. And at this point, with two players having gone down on left, the call should definitely be two left still, two left. They're flanking, they're behind you, you know. Something like that to make clear to Ari and OctoKid that they're in a dangerous spot. So that was a good pick on the 52 there. If OctoKid knows that that's coming in faster, though, they can definitely escape from that, I think. Well, I guess, because the call-out is 52 got me, and, like, the 52 and the Flingza both got the previous two players, so I don't think there's really any information there that's new, but a location call-out there would have been really, really helpful, I think, for letting both players know, like, what was going on and from where. Because, like, there's not that much, actually, that would have been stopping these two players from just grabbing the Rainmaker and dunking. I guess they just go for the shark first and then grab the Rainmaker and dunk. But, like, Ari and OctoKid don't actually retreat in a way that puts them between the Rainmaker and scoring. So, in theory, like, them going after the Hydra there, enemy team could have just, like, started to push and gone for it. So they might have been able to play that a little bit faster and get even more out of this. But now they're in a really solid position. So one of the important calls here is to stay safe because we're at a disadvantage and they have specials. Another one is where we want to be looking as soon as we come out. Like, where is the danger coming from? Obviously, we need to be watching the Rainmaker and making sure that it can't push, but there are a lot of flank routes here. Knowing, for example, that there's no one on right would be helpful. Knowing that there is paint on left and that there could be someone, like, moving over there would be helpful. That'll make it so that, like, Squish here, for example, who is the last player out, is already going to know where to be looking. Because they get all the way to the rail here, and they get all the way across the rail, and they're still not really looking at what's happening in the play. They don't have... There's information that they could be collecting on screen that we talked about, but they're also not getting fed that information from the rest of their team here. So definitely, like, getting everyone's attention focused on the right thing is going to be important. Like, Hydra mid, don't push too far in. One flanking left. Stop Rainmaker from jumping across, across onto our plat. All of those are objectives right now. So we end up getting one on left, and we're really clumped up right now, and this is kind of dangerous. Like, they have AoE weapons. We need to make sure that we're spreading out a little bit so that we don't all go down to the same thing. And again, this is, so as long as we can see this machine and know where they are, this is definitely a reef slider that you want to be canceling early. You want to be using that on top of the machine if you saw it. If you didn't see it, it's whatever, but, err on the side of, not isolating yourself with that special. Because both of the uses we've seen so far that we've talked about have put you really far away from the rest of the team. So make sure that when you use it, you're not like just a kamikaze going in there, and if the special doesn't get anything, then there's nothing you can do about it. Using it to get closer targets is probably more valuable. Like, get the target that's right in front of you first, instead of like diving through the whole enemy team to get a target that's in the back that is going to have more time to avoid you because you're going the full duration of the special. And here we can see, like, from another angle that they kind of did just kind of sneak by Squish there, when there were areas where Squish could potentially have put themselves to be in the way. But they end up getting 2 before they go down to the machine here. So that gives us numbers advantage on the spawn. Now, if they were jumping people into Wumpus right now, they could potentially have a pretty even numbers situation with you on the left here. We still do need to clear this left-hand side. So this is something that, the frontliners should be looking for opportunities to jump on. So good job to Ari for spotting that. Unfortunately, the 1v1 doesn't go well, but that's the place that you want to be looking. But I definitely want Lindsay looking at that. I want Lindsay to be looking at, like, what is the spot that threatens us the most? Let's, put some paint down on that just to make sure that there's no one sharking it or jumping to it or something. You can be putting, like, point sensors in places so that we were spotting that sort of thing out. You can be, like, painting up around that area, like with your big AoE burst that's probably going to hit something if it's sharking on that splotch of green. So there are ways that you can be checking that are safer than Ari having to dive in and hope that there's not a Flings-a-Roller watching. I think that's something that you can definitely be doing in the aftermath of a fight right like this, especially with the point sensors, because that's the most valuable thing you can do with a point sensor. So Squish is pushing forward and doesn't have anybody in front of them. And this has kind of been a recurring theme with the Rainmaker, that we're not putting somebody in between the Rainmaker and the defending team. And so they're just going to get collapsed on pretty quickly here. Now, with a little bit more information, we were looking at it on our screen, and it made sense what Squish was doing. They were just dropping it down to make sure it's safe. But if we had a little bit more information, we would know that after picking Ari, the Flings-a-Roller actually just dropped back towards mid, and we probably could have played this a little bit slower. We probably didn't need to drop it down, knowing what we can now see of the enemy positions. So a little bit of information gathering would have gone a long way in that respect. But now we want to be seeing, like, okay, they've got the Rainmaker on the right. Let's try and, like, rotate so that if they keep committing to this push on the right, we have people in the way. And that seems to be what we're doing. We've got most of the players looking right. OctoKid goes in with this, and they're alone. Then Ari goes in, and Squish comes down and helps with Ari. But then Ari goes down to the Booyah, and Squish does not pay attention to the machine there. So there's a little bit of a disconnect on the front line about when we're going and what we're focusing on when we get there, and, like, what dangers there still are there. And all of those communication things that we talked about would have helped with that fight significantly. We had the numbers to win that fight. We ended up kind of going even in that fight. So meanwhile, Lindsay ends up losing the 1v1 to Barry. I think Lindsay was trying to maybe rotate over to help the other teammates and got caught in the crossfire that Barry was putting down there. Let's back up just a second and see exactly what happens. Yeah, it looks like that's what's happening. So as Lindsay there, if you're going to try and help on the right side, just remember that, like, there was a danger in mid, and if you keep a wall in between you and that danger, then you're fine. So we are at a numbers disadvantage here with Lindsay going down, and Lindsay going down should be something that we were calling out pretty quickly, because we need to know the numbers advantage as they're picking up the Rainmaker. If they're able to rush forward and win fights, then our objective needs to be back up and stall, not dive in on them. So if Squish knows that Lindsay's down, then Squish knows not to go in and instead to just throw a Toxic Mist in their way and bug them that way. Because that'll still slow them down, that'll still stall, and it'll give Lindsay time to get back in without putting Squish in danger of taking a fight that they're not likely to win. So now OctoKid backs all the way up, and Ari and OctoKid are playing pretty well off each other here. We're just trying to kind of get in the way, kind of threaten. OctoKid with a great drop gets the trade on the Rainmaker here, which slows down the push a lot. And now the goal should be prevent them from sitting in that corner underneath the tent and keep pushing them further and further back. Once they can't be in that little elbow there, they can only be in that square where all of the deaths have happened down there. And so then we can focus that square. And with an Explo looking at that square, with Toxic Mists in that square, they're not going to be able to stay there for long. We're going to force them back. And we're going to be able to do all of this just from the high ground above it, without even needing to drop. So, like that Toxic Mist placement, that's great. Here would definitely be a great place for a Toxic Mist, because the Rainmaker is the furthest forward, and they might be trying to make a sprint for goal here. It's really important that we inhibit that as much as we can, especially in a situation where our players can't actually be in the way because a Booyah Bomb has just gone out. Okay, Reef Slider ends up getting it, and that's a wipe. Cool. So from here, one of the reasons that we don't get a lot of offense going in this game is that we end up taking fights discoordinated from each other. But another reason is that when we do get advantages here and there, we're not moving up as far as we can. We're not keeping them as far back. The enemy team is allowed to stay on our side of the map for most of this game. And one of the ways that we stop that from happening is by pushing the pace and getting our frontliners forward when we have advantages like this. So, like, look at... we get the wipe, and we're still back at the Rainmaker shield. Two of their players are spawned in. Now we're starting to move forward, but if anything, the enemy team beats us to mid, even though we splatted them. So what we need to be doing is, as soon as the wipe happens, the frontliners go, the frontliners get position in mid, the frontliners secure space, and we leave it to the supports and the backliner to take care of the Rainmaker and painting up the rest of the base and, like, getting their positions behind us. Because, like, for Lindsay to be able to set up to help the frontliners in mid, Lindsay's probably going to have to paint up a little bit to make that space behind mid. So it's fine to leave some of that to Lindsay to do. But the fact that the frontliners weren't able to get up far enough to secure anything more than, like, their side of mid here before there's a Hydra already looking at it, that's going to, like, keep the enemy team pushed further forward than they have to be after this wipe. Like, the Flingza is already feeling comfortable being on your side of the map when we could have felt comfortable being on their side of the map instead. So whenever you hear about, like, someone like FLC talking about playing faster as a team, that's what FLC is talking about when given an opportunity, how much space does your team take? How, like, quickly are you able to capitalize, how efficiently are you able to capitalize on that advantage? It's not like, what kinds of weapons are you running? Like, this is a weapon that can zoom really quickly, like a sploosh. It's more, although a sploosh, I guess, is a pretty fast weapon, in that if it gets an opportunity, it can zoom in really quickly. But what's really more important is, like, are you making the decision to go as soon as you have the information that tells you can go? And then this is the desperation play that we need to make because it's important to at this point. So, no problems there. All right. So, big things that I would say for the team as general goals to set for yourselves would be for the frontliners to be calling engagements and getting everyone's attention to those engagements and going on them at the same time. That's the first thing that, like, I want to see the most, because that will get the whole team rallied around that. And then it's important for everyone else to follow up on that when those calls get made, and for those calls to get made at the right times, but that would be a great first start. After that, I think it's definitely valuable for you guys to have game plans ready to go for like what you're going to do on your rollout, what you're going to do when you're on defense, and what you're going to do on offense. So I would actually like pull up an overhead view of that map and talk like, okay, in neutral, where do we feel like is powerful for our individual weapons, and how do we want to set ourselves up to be in those powerful positions? When we're on defense, what positions do we think are powerful for our weapons, and where do we want to set up, and what do we need to look at? Like, what are the dangers that we need to watch out for? And then on offense, how do we want to push? Like, who is going in front of the Rainmaker? Where in front of them are they going? And where do we need to be looking? Having that sort of a plan ahead of time makes it so that there's less you have to communicate. But especially make it so that the frontliners already know where they have to go, so that they don't have to think about it. So they don't have to spend time worrying about, wait, is this safe? Like, am I going to have support here? Knowing that that's the plan already is going to really expedite your ability to move up in situations like that. Now, this is easier said than done because there are 48 map modes in this game that are going to be played in a competitive tournament. 60 if you end up in a tournament that uses turf war. So that's going to be a kind of like long-term team project. That's not something you're going to be able to do tomorrow. But it's good to like get started on that and talk about those kinds of things, so that maybe you can apply some of that information to other maps where you can be like, okay, this is a similar map formation to this one. I bet they're going to try and do this. And that sort of thing can help you guys out. But I think what I'd like to do right now is... We've got a whole bunch of people in the call right now. More so than we can fit in a single, like, Anarchy Open lobby. But, hold on. Do we have 8? If we had 1, 2, 3, 4... We have 7. Super close. Let me just look really quickly and see. Oop. If we can get one more player, we might actually be able to do a little bit of a pickup scrim here and practice these kinds of call-outs in that little like in-house scrim. So let me just really quickly see. Because I'm thinking what we do is we put, like, me on one team, and I don't know, maybe, like, Devi or someone on another, if Devi's around. But I need to see who's actually available. Who's this? Oh, okay. Congratulations, Potato. We are now Discord friends.
Ooh.
I'm not seeing anybody speak up right away, so we might not be able to pull that off. Because what I kind of want to do is watch you guys play now that we've talked about these things, and be able to like talk in your ear while it's going on. And so
I see Dreamz is in the waiting room.
Sure, let's grab Dreamz. That would work. Hey, Dreamz. Are you?
Hello.
Awesome, you're there. Would you like to help us out with this exercise here? Would you like to do some work with us to help them out with callouts and stuff?
Yeah, I'd like to do that. Learn
All
some
right.
callouts myself.
So what I'm probably going to do is here. First of all, I'll go into the Discord chat for this VC. So like on Discord, if you didn't know, you can hover over the voice channel and there's a little speech bubble. And I am going to put in a password there. And then I'm also going to put in my friend code in case any of you guys don't have me added. And from there, we are going to open up a private battle with just you guys. and we'll work on these call-out concepts that we've talked about. I'd like to get, for the first one, everyone on Monsters, Inc. on the same side, but, well, okay, most people from Monsters, Inc. Because I want to be in there with the Monsters, Inc. members. So I think we've got 5 Monsters, Inc. members, so I think what we'll do is we'll start off with me and 3 of them, and then rotate the other 2 of them in, and we'll just play with as many different combinations of them as we can, with me being in the comms with them, so that I can be talking to them while we're on the separate teams about that. So let me really quickly get a password guardian up here. Yes?
Real quick, we're having trouble viewing the text chat in this VC.
Yeah, it's saying messages failed to load.
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably because you don't have access to them because you only got dragged up, so you don't normally. Okay, I'll just DM it to all of you separately. It'll take a second here, but it might be the way we have to do it. So, Blue, here you go. And here it is for Dreamz. Okay, it saved the timestamp, but... and Potato. And Lotus. And Ari, you already have my friend code, but you still need the password, so there it is. And Sif. And OctoKid. Okay. So everyone should have it now. Let me know if you have any problems with that.
Mr. Zink, you guys should be able to join in on me now.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess you probably don't need... Because I realize if I accept these friend requests, I'm going to accidentally close the lobby. So everyone just join in off of Ari at this point, because you all have the password. Thank you, Frog. You have done your duty well. I'm getting some questions about what's going on right now. This is a full team lesson. So on my Metafy, I actually offer both an individual lesson and a full team lesson. The full team lesson is we do like a practice as a team for 2 hours. And then the individual lesson is a 1 hour VOD review. So this is kind of to show what the team lesson would look like. And also, I just wanted to get some stuff about communication on stream and how to do that as effectively as possible.
So we're being used as a marketing tactic, huh?
Yes, that is exactly what is happening. So if you're interested in the Discord server where you can talk to me about this, or the Metafy where you can reserve one of these slots, there it is in the chat. Yeah, go click that. Okay, but let's actually just go to Zone's Hagglefish, because that was, or no, it was Rainmaker Hagglefish. We'll do Rainmaker Hagglefish, and we'll play the exact same thing we were just looking at. So we're all in, and what I'll do is I'll put myself on with 3 members. So we'll put Dreamz on the other side, we'll put Potato on the other side, and I'm blanking on who else. Wasn't it?
A communication error.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No worries. We actually do have 8, because you're... Was it Zenith was the name? I'm blanking on who. No. Never mind.
Zenith wound up having to leave.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So
who had the communication error? Because we only have 8 in the chat right now.
I believe that's OctoKid that said that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it still shows OctoKid in the lobby, but...
Yeah, PPs are weird like that. I think as soon as the game starts... Oh, there you go.
One beautiful quality of life change that they made is that you can actually go back from the team selection screen to the adjust players screen. Like, this is so nice. Because in Splatoon 2, what we would have needed to do was continue forward and play the game, or completely kill the lobby and start it over again. Those are the only two options at this point. But we can just go back to adjust players, and we can wait until OctoKid is able to get back in. It looks like their internet died, because they're not in the call anymore. So we'll wait just a second for OctoKid to be able to return. In the meantime, though, if there are any questions, I can take those in chat at the moment. Or if you guys have any questions, you know, you guys get priority because you're on the voice call. You're special. But once OctoKid is back in, let me know and I can get things started again.
Yeah, I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
What's like the specific cases where you should and should not let the Rainmaker reset? Not very specific, but what's a really good example of where you should and should not let it reset?
Gotcha. So the ideal situation when you stop the Rainmaker push, they're one of two things. If you're close enough to the enemy base and you like wipe the enemy team or something, you just pick it up and start running it, because that's going to get it to mid faster. Now, if they pushed it really deep into your base, the next best thing you can do, because picking it up and running it will only get you as far as mid, and OctoKid is back here, so we can get started. But I'll finish answering this question first. The next best thing, if running it isn't going to get it to mid by the time you meet resistance, and you're not going to have an advantage when you get there, next best thing is to let it reset to mid, because the Rainmaker moves itself. That's the advantage of that. The Rainmaker will get itself all the way back to a relatively safe position for it to be, and your teammates don't have to pick it up. Because remember, picking up the Rainmaker, it makes you slower, it makes you a worse weapon. It also guarantees that unless you knock the game out, you are going to be splatted. That is the only option. If you survive those next 60 seconds, which is very rare, then you're just going to run out of time and you're going to explode anyway. So you're going to be splatted once you pick it up unless you KO. So instead of committing a teammate to that role, ideally what you want to happen is to just let it reset to mid and have everybody push up in front of it and control the zones that the enemy team needs to pass through to get to the Rainmaker, so that they can't pick it up themselves and they can't sneak it. The big risk of that strategy, though, is that in making that play, you end up leaving the Rainmaker open and one of them sneaks through and grabs it and starts pushing. Or they just overpower someone and get to the Rainmaker before the rest of the team can get back on defense. If that is a risk, so if you don't have significant control of the area around the Rainmaker once you splat the Rainmaker carrier, maybe you're at a numbers disadvantage or something, now we're looking at the more drastic options, which are either picking it up and jumping it off a ledge to get it to respawn back to mid by force, or you're looking at picking it up and like dropping it off a ledge or pushing it as far forward as you can before you go down, so that at least they're forced to pop the Rainmaker again. So I've listed that kind of in order that you want to be doing it. So ideally, you're far enough forward on the map that you just pick it up and start a push yourself. If that's not really going to happen before like you get back to mid and you're back to neutral again, then you pop it and let it reset and paint your way back into mid while controlling all of the enemy's ways to get back in. The next best thing is you jump it off the ledge. And that's what you do if you don't have an advantage enough to keep the area around the Rainmaker under control. And finally, if you don't have a ledge that's close enough, but the enemy team is about to grab it and you need to go get it, then you go and run and pick it up and either just get splatted right away or run it as far as you possibly can before you get splatted in the direction that brings it furthest from where the enemy team needs to push.
Jem, would you mind adding OctoKid back to the VC?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Welcome back, OctoKid. It's like you never left.
All right, thanks.
All right, so let's see. I'll jump in with So we don't have Squish, it looks like, and we don't have Lindsay, and then we have everyone else. Is there... Lotus and Sif and Blue, what do you guys play? Like, what weapons? Or, like, what roles, I should say? I know I had you guys list this earlier, and I've forgotten a few of you.
Okay. I mostly play Slayer / support.
Okay.
I'm Blue, by the way. I
Blue,
don't know.
yeah.
Sorry.
Blue, Slayer, support, and then Lotus?
Pretty much the same for me. I've been experimenting a lot lately, mainly Ink Brush, but I've also been picking up NZAP as well.
Okay, got it. And Sif?
Mainly Slayer Skirmisher as well.
Okay, so we're pretty interchangeable then. So I'll put Ari and Blue on my team. Oh, I need one more, and I'll put Lotus, and then we'll have Sif and OctoKid on the other team, and we'll rotate them back to my team in a second. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to move my team up to... what's a good place? I'll move us to on deck, and we'll use that, and then you guys can stay here. Actually, no, I'll move everyone else to on deck, and keep us in commentary chat here so that we're keeping the VCs apart. So,
All right.
Goodbye, Dreamz, and Potato, and Sif, and OctoKid. There. So here we go. This is a very short-range comp, and I know Potato plays backline. Okay, so Rapid Pro would be excellent for countering whatever backline we're going to see, and then so that puts Blue and Ari as our other frontliners. So Ari's, are you guys going to stick with Sploosh and Dapples here?
I can switch to been practicing with the dually squelchers.
Okay. And Blue, are you going to be playing Sploosh?
I can stay on Sploosh just because I have a kit like that I use for Rainmaker stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this works. So Blue is going to be our like flanker here. I'll be trying to initiate, and then Ari will we'll want Ari to play fairly aggressively here to try and follow up on the fights that Blue and I start. So remember what we were talking about with flanks, Blue? We're going to want you to be calling, you know, whenever you're behind them, whenever you're trying to go for something, so that we can follow up on that. Always remember that if, and this is something that I forgot to mention in the group setting, so remind me to bring this up then. If anybody calls something that you're not in position to help with, can't is a valid call out to let them know that they're not going to have the support they're calling for. And let's try and stay together and focus the same players in fights.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, let's go.
Blue, where are you going to start by rolling out here? Well, are you just going to go for the Rainmaker pop, or are you going to try and go for a flank early? Okay, we'll go for pop.
No, okay.
So remember, that's everyone's priority here. We're trying to outpaint them on pop. They have a range blaster, so we definitely have a shot of being able to do that. Just watch out, because they'll have more bombs than us, I believe. All right, good job getting pop. Are we going to rush forward? I'm rushing.
Yep.
Pushing up, pushing up.
Throw a bomb.
Blaster weak, got him. I'm down to Explo. That's 2 for 1. We can pick up. Watch out for Potato. They got Explo. One on right, on right, on right.
Okay.
Help Blue on right.
Yep.
Yeah, moving up.
There, good stuff. I'm marked, so I can't move forward yet. Watch out for the rain.
Alright, I have back. I'm gonna move forward with that.
I'm going to flank left.
Oh, right side.
One's on me.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Safe's coming up back a bit, trying to get for pop.
I'm behind them. Got one. They got... Okay, I'm down.
Throw a bomb.
So 3v3. Good job, you got one.
Great.
One on left.
I've got stamp ready.
All right. Someone might have... There's a little bit of pain on right. I'm watching out for a shark there or something.
Right back.
Coming at me.
I'm marked. I'm going to have Zuka in a second. I'm going to start to...
Try lobbing bombs toward the middle. Oh, I down.
Yeah, we were a little bit clumped there. I got Zuka. All right. Just try and slow him down, but do not go down yourselves.
Ah, crap. I got by the
Yeah, we got to take some different positions here. We're clumping in the same spot. They can just shoot in the same place. Okay, Rainmaker's down. Careful, Blue. Nice. One more around the other side, on this side. Nice. Good wipe, good wipe.
Okay.
That was clutch.
Right here, we'll paint forward for you.
Yep, just paint forward. We can let this reset, and we want to take control of as much of mid as we possibly can early.
Have Wavebreaker
Now they're
ready?
going to be back soon, so be careful. There we go.
Gonna go around to the left side.
All right. Popping Zuka in mid.
Gonna pop Wavebreaker.
Alright.
Got one.
I got
All right, let's
stopped,
pick up and go.
sorry.
Pick up and go.
Yep. That's just the range blaster on right side.
Right side, got it. They're
Yeah, we got eyes on their mark,
Force
their mark,
back.
their mark. Go.
Okay.
Get it
stuff.
back.
Okay,
Fell down there.
let's get Pop if we can.
Yep, they snap and back. They don't get pop.
Near the middle.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna pop Zuka, trying to get
Oh
some
my
hits
gosh,
here.
right side. There's somebody sharking right side, so watch out, Blue.
Yep.
Got one.
All right, they're down.
That's two. That's two.
Okay.
We gotta pick it up. We're not gonna get there in time.
All good.
Well, I'm already in, so I got one.
I've got stamping in.
I'm holding them back, so try and get it forward when we can. Got
Yep.
one. I'm down.
I can pick it up.
All right.
They've got trace
Careful,
in the
careful, careful. 3v3. 3v3.
All right, on their canopy.
Yep.
All right, two on the
Ready
ramp.
for Wavebreaker.
One flanking right. Flanking right. They're behind us.
Right?
I got him. I got him.
Okay.
Okay, good deal.
Breaker out.
Left side underneath their canopy.
We got him. So we might consider threatening to go left. There's a range on their hut. Range on their hut. Yeah, just hold here. Hold here.
Yeah.
We're good for
All right,
now.
range down.
Okay, nice. There's another one under hut.
All right, I got 18 seconds left.
Okay, let's try and make a play towards right. I'm in.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna make this jump here. Yep, got me. Ah, yeah, they got
All
me.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, we weren't gonna get leads, so we can just try and put it in the best
throw a bomb.
position for it. Careful, we're two for four. I don't feel safe jumping yet. Okay, I'm going in.
They're gonna get the pop. There.
Watch for them to come out right. I'm trying to keep
How many
Pete there.
I do not have stealth jump.
Zuking. Got one.
Crap. They got me on left. They've got.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
yeah,
one
yeah,
right
I'm
behind
back.
the right side. They're flanking right. Got him. I'm behind them. Oh, good.
Okay, yeah, we got time.
I got forced
I'm
back.
gonna throw Wavebreaker in the middle.
Yep.
I got caught.
Who? From who?
Okay,
Where?
we're two down right now.
There's
Yep,
a
yep.
left,
shot
I'm safe.
replica on
Left?
the.
Okay, thank
on
you.
the
Sorry.
Yeah, they're marked.
Caught a flank on left. I traded.
It's all good.
You've got Explusher on left.
Range on
One
left.
coming up right.
Behind the corner.
Okay.
One pushing Ari right. I'm helping.
Right, if we pick it up, I got.
Two on right. Two on right.
Okay.
Nice. That's one.
Nope.
We gotta pick it up in 5 seconds.
Launcher.
I got it.
Two in front. Careful. Three in front.
Nope. Yeah.
I couldn't get out of the. Yeah.
Jeez.
GG's.
GG's.
All right. So now we'll rotate around a little bit. So I'm gonna grab everybody back in here. Alrighty, we're all back in here now.
Just want to say one thing.
Mhm.
We were suppressed in that channel, so we could not talk to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a whoops.
All good.
Neat. Let me. I guess I'll just put you guys in waiting room. Hopefully, we're able to keep the rest of that clear. Sorry about that.
You're
It's
fine.
alright.
No, you're fine.
Good
So
game,
let's-
though.
Yeah, good game. So let's play it from different teams now. So we're gonna switch out Ari for Sif. And we'll switch out OctoKid. Oops, wrong team. There we go. For Blue. All right. And so I'll send you guys to the waiting room VC now. So this is going to be Dreamz, Ari, Potato, and Blue.
All right.
Ari, Potato, Blue. Welcome, squad. For glory.
Woo!
Okay, so Sif is going to be playing shot, so I can rotate off that onto something else. This can still definitely work. Let's see, what do we want most here?
I also have a Hydra if you want that, as opposed to range.
I'll go Splash here. Potato's been playing Explo, so it's whatever you feel most comfortable playing against that with.
Okay.
Oops, not that hat. There. Okay.
We can try a Hydra.
All right. Get some warm-up dualies. There we go.
Okay.
Good luck to both teams.
Yeah. Going for pop.
So they might have pop here because they have a sploosh and dapples. Yeah, I wouldn't go for pop. Just paint up and get your special ready so that by the time the pop happens, we already have overwhelming force. So I'm going to go for crab early, and let's see if we can have like a Zuka or a Booyah or something. Okay, I've got crab. I'm going to start that up in mid.
Someone's on left.
Alright. Explo coming right side.
Okay. So mid is suppressed for now, but they're going to be back there now that the crab is done.
All right, I got my special ready.
All right, I'm trying to move in with the Zuka.
One coming right side.
On left, got me. They are right on top of the beacon. Jumping into OctoKid.
Alright, I got Booyah.
All right.
There's one on right.
I'm gonna flank left.
Yep, go for it.
Alright.
They see me. There's two. I'm down.
Oh.
I'm going that way.
Okay, careful. Back up. Back up.
Yep, they do. One right
Yeah,
side.
there's one on right. There's two on right.
Yep.
They
Yeah,
got me.
that's gonna be 3 of them. I might have to panic pop Booyah. Oh, pretty good.
All right, just keep the
Spotted one.
area in front of it painted if you possibly can. But be careful.
All right.
Not dying is the first priority.
Ugh,
Yeah, not dying. I tried not to.
Got one. Sploosh is underneath hut. I dropped on that and got one.
Okay.
I'm gonna push up with you.
I've
I'm
got crab.
taking care
I'm
of the beacon
crabbing
here.
into mid. I'm down
All
to
right,
the blaster.
I got my special now.
I'm pulling back.
Two on right. Be careful.
The explosion
down?
got me.
Alright, I'm gonna pop Booyah for some
Explosion got me in mid.
Blaster got me on left.
Yeah, blaster's on left. I'm watching it. I think I've got him. Yeah, I got him.
Ugh, you got me down.
Explo's on me on left. I'm down. Yeah, we're don't
We
stagger
lost
in.
that.
Don't stagger in.
I'm
Be
sorry.
careful. You're first up, OctoKid.
Yeah. Yep, I'm
Yeah, stand.
backing up. Careful.
Stand on right. They're low.
Good stamp. Incoming.
Stamp is
Good job.
down. It's 2 for 2. Dapples is on the shield, so be careful. They're probably going to be able to pop.
Yeah, and they're using their special.
Ooh.
Alright, blaster left side.
Got me on the
I'm down to
hut.
Explo. Yep, keep,
Got the
keep
Rainmaker
pain in front of
here.
Rain. There's 1 or 2 on left elbow.
I got him.
Popping crab.
One left.
Alright.
Going in with
Got two.
Rainmaker. I mean, not Rainmaker.
And now we just pick
Explo is back up to mid. We've got control. Let's push up.
Yep, here we go.
All right.
I'm gonna pop Zuka here.
Oh, right side on
There's
me.
one. Dualies.
Yeah.
Oh, they're low.
Bad timing on my part. I traded.
It's all good.
Oh,
One at
completely
Rainmaker?
lost it.
Yeah, the dualies got me.
Keep paint in front of
Rock.
them. Keep bombs in front.
Yes,
They've got
it's
beacons that we need to be taking out as we push up.
Okay,
All right, I'll find the.
They're
beacons.
stuck on left. Collapse on that.
okay yep,
Someone
alright,
drop
down.
into mid and someone else
I
go.
know.
There you go.
Okay, there
Nice.
you go.
I'll look for beacons real quick.
There aren't any. We can pop the map and look for those. Like, we can just see whether they're there on the map.
We'll let it reset.
Alright, range is in on right.
One coming over left. Just kidding.
Paint up the sides and let's play neutral and mid.
Oh,
Yep.
the Explo got me. They're going right.
There's one coming right. I'm watching it. They're down.
Oh.
Explo is also watching from right side. I have Crab ready to go.
Okay.
All right.
We've got a bunch of specials. Let's pop him and go.
All right, here we go.
Got one. I'll pick up Rainmaker because I don't have special.
Alright, we should have the firepower to get through. Keep pressure on the Explo there. Nice.
They got me. Got the
Be
checkpoint.
careful, we've got multiple people marked and we're one down. They're gonna start pushing back in.
Throwing my bomb.
Explo weak. They're on hut.
All right.
Alright, backing up, backing
got
up.
me in mid. All right.
I'm mid right now.
I'm just harassing and trying to paint their feet. Don't get in too deep. Dapples were trying to go left, but I stopped them.
Yep, they're still there though.
All right.
Hammer on
Watch
me.
out for the
Hammer weak, nice.
Got him.
Okay, hammer down.
throwing a bomb.
Dapples on me, hit him twice, I'm down. We need to get Rainmaker, 13 seconds. They can just back it up, they don't need to do anything here.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
We need to dive them, we need to dive them, 5 seconds. No
Yep,
time.
Go. Yeah, wasn't able.
Got him.
We stopped it. Good
Traded.
stuff.
Rainmaker.
Okay,
got me.
we got wiped.
Wipe.
That's probably gonna happen
Yeah.
there, but
Yeah.
Yeah, the rain got me.
GG's.
GG's, everybody.
alright, we'll hop back into the chat here. Hello.
Hello.
We are all back now.
Hello.
So GG.
Yeah, GG.
As before, one of the things that I'm noticing is that when we get advantages, we're being a little bit on the slow side to push up and use them. So that's something to think about as any frontline weapon here is like when we have advantage, how do we use it? When we have players down, like find isolated players, go on fights and like take them out and get more advantages, because your advantage does not last forever. You can't just coast for a whole push off of one isolated pick. You're going to need to get more of them. You're going to need to force more of them. So as you get one player down, like be looking for the next spot forward, be looking to take space, be looking to move your team forward on the map, because that's happening a little bit on the slower side than it's going to happen for teams that are more experienced. So that's something to focus on. Like we said, with your fights, be calling those out, and I was trying to give as good an example as I could of that sort of like team leadership, of calling which fights I'm taking, calling where to go on the comms. So hopefully that's given you guys some ideas more in the moment of what kinds of things you can be saying and how to coordinate those things. And I hopefully have given you guys all at least a little bit of an idea on your individual roles of where to be positioning and how to be supporting for playing the modes here. Rainmaker is very fast. It's very dependent on you making decisions quickly. And that's what we were talking about today, and that's what we were playing today. So I think that gives you guys kind of a good example of the mode where you have to play the fastest. And how to kind of get up to speed there. For other modes, you can play a little slower. Other modes, you can play like to control space and keep them out of it. But in Rainmaker, you've just got to get space for yourselves as quickly as you can. So I think that's a good way to show how your team needs to be playing on the faster side. Like that's a mode where your team needs to be playing on the faster side, and this will expose that more than anything else about, especially the front line. So thank you all so much for allowing me to talk to you on stream here today. I hope it's been helpful to you guys. If you ever have any questions, feel free to let me know. But at this point, it is time for me to transition over to Dreamz. So feel free to drop any of those questions in like a DM or something, and I'll definitely, be able to handle those after the stream, or if something comes to your mind much later, feel free to DM me. But we're going to transition now to having Dreamz' VOD review. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you around.
All right,
Well,
see ya.
Thank you,
for
Jim.
having us.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
GG's, guys.
Adios.
GG's.
See ya.
Oh boy.
Alrighty.
It was quite the games.
Yeah, those were pretty good ones.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go and check our Discord DM. I'm forgetting how I have the recording. Was it a replay code? Replay code, right? Okay. So it's the one that you posted on the 3rd. Is that the one we're going for?
No, I have a different one.
Oh, okay. Have
That was my bad.
Gotcha. One that you haven't given me yet?
Yeah,
right.
I'll just get my phone real quick.
Gotcha. Get that typed in, and I will get myself over to the computer. How do you get the Discord icons on the screen? It's a browser source, and I forget exactly how I set it up, but it's Googleable. Bread King asks, "How's your day, Jim?" It's been pretty good so far. It's only just starting. I'm very late to go to bed and late to rise, so I still haven't actually had lunch yet.
Mentioned DM for that.
Yep, got it.
We're going back to the first map you had on our individual lesson. Same mode too.
There we go. It's all coming full circle. Everything is connected.
Also, that map is really tough for Rainmaker, especially when I'm playing like around both of those walls. Cause I can basically like blind fire and just kind of suppress from there if I'm like playing around mid or just playing around the flank corners. So.
Alright, so we've got a whole bunch of midline versus a very strange comp indeed. Stream kit overlay, that sounds right. Thanks, Z-Tech. If I like Google it, I'll find it, but right now it's VOD reviewing time. So that's what we're doing. Alrighty.
Welcome to S rank. Weird comps and weird games.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like anyone is going to be able to control the comps because it's solo queue, right? Like, this isn't... Is this with a team or anything?
No, this is solo queue. All
Yeah.
I do is solo queue.
So, it's not your fault that the comps are weird. It's going to happen just because Nintendo made it that way, but...
Yeah.
So, you've got a 52, and they can push forward. And a lot of you guys are going to be able to play, like, a safe zoning sort of offense. But there will be times occasionally, I think, where your 52 is going to need some help in a fight. And so it's going to be important to be looking especially at the 52, since they're going to be playing the furthest forward. They're the ones who are most capable of pushing. They're going to be kind of positioning behind their wall, so that should be easy to find when they do set up. But you want to be looking for them to be able to help them with fights. Because the Tri-Slosher is going to be scrappy, the Brush is going to be flanking, so they're going to be looking for fights. The Zap, when they pop Tacticooler, is going to dive in with that, and we don't want the 52 just getting overwhelmed. So we want to make sure that we're not so far behind them that something bad happens. The Flings, in a competitive setting, is going to be just farming missiles. That's not to say that that's what they're going to be doing here, but that's kind of how they play. And then the Blob is just going to be painting because that's all a Blob ever does. Blob is obviously going to be, controlling space and preventing the enemy team from moving into certain areas and threatening them. But in theory, you don't die to the Blob. You die to being forced someplace else by the Blob. Okay. So starting off... So it's Clam Blitz, so it's not like in Rainmaker where you want to just be beelining the middle of the map for the Rainmaker pop. it's important to kind of take some time, paint up maybe a little bit for special, but also collect clams so that they don't have easy clams around your basket, and you have scoring potential when it's time for you to score on them. So we do that. Now, always be a little bit scared about dropping over a ledge. You want to at least collect information before you drop over a ledge. Because dropping over a ledge is a commitment. As soon as you go over that ledge, you can't move backwards anymore. Your back is to the wall. You have no escape. So you need to have an escape route from someplace else if you're dropping over a ledge, and you don't want that to get cut off. Right now, if the Tri-Slosh and the Zap dive you here, you might be at a disadvantage. So the first thing that I would be thinking to do is, as soon as I see them pop up over the top, I'm immediately turning to them and taking shots. And you can hit them from this far away, and they can't hit you from here. So you can force them to back up if you do that soon enough. But you get pretty close to them, and now the Tri-Slosher is on you, and that's a fight that you could, in theory, have lost. So, especially if the Zap was helping out with that at all. So that's something that you want to be adjusting to a little bit faster, just because you had that information, and instead of putting yourself further forward, you want to be moving forward a little bit more slowly, just because of that's how your weapon works.
Yep.
Like we always talk about with longer ranged weapons, and you're longer ranged than most of their team. Sorry. You always want to be keeping open sight lines and keeping yourself at max range away from them, because they have to run at you, and so the longer they have to run at you and the less cover they have while they're running at you, the more likely you are to win. So you just saw someone on the right, and good job, you're backing up. Hit the direct, very nice. There was someone that we just saw on the right a little bit earlier. Or maybe it was some shots that were falling. So there's the player. We direct them. Now we saw something right around the right-hand side. I don't know if you spotted that out. There's some blobs, and there's a player right there. So that was what I saw before. So there is some information on here that we're not noticing right away and acting on, and in fact, it is that player. I noticed the hat. It is that player who gets through and scores. So that was something that we could have seen and watched, because knowing that there's someone on the right, you wouldn't have pushed up as far on the left, and they wouldn't have been able to sneak through. But good job. Now, I like how you're putting a range blaster shot on every spot that they could be to, by the process of elimination, figure out where they are. And as you get more experienced on any given weapon, you learn, like, what spots do I need to shoot at to figure out where they are in as few shots as possible. It's kind of a geometric problem for yourself. And you do that really well here. You figure out where they are in just like 2 or 3 shots, and you're able to cut their movement options off, get them down, and nothing comes of this. What the play they're making, to be clear for the audience, that the Brush made here is not a good decision in most cases. What they did was they opened the basket. They gave the rest of their team no opportunity to follow up on the basket because they had to get behind the entire enemy team to get there. So the enemy team just collapsed on them, turned around, and now their team is in a 4v3, or in a 3v4, I should say. So they're at a disadvantage. They can't push in on the rest of them. So they get no follow-up past literally the smallest score you can get in the game. Actually, no, I take that back. The lowest possible score you can get is if the enemy team is scored already, and then you only get 1 power clam in. Because then, like, if you guys score 1 power clam and then nothing else, now you guys are at 81 instead of being at 80 because you tied and got kicked backwards. But other than that option, this is the lowest possible score you can possibly get by throwing a power clam in. And so you guys will beat this off of a power clam plus 1. It's barely anything at all. Plus, now by making this score, they've given you a pity clam that you can use to add extra points on top of it. So now it's very likely that if you guys open the basket, you will get at least 60 because someone's going to be able to jump the power clam in. I do not recommend that anybody do this. Like, unless your team can follow up, do not just run in and try and score. You can do better than that, and the other team will very likely be able to counter push you for doing it because you're very likely to die doing this.
I think that's what the brush in this game mostly did, so I was watching for that.
And I say it because it's so darn common that I'm sure there is someone in the chat who is learning from this. All right, so we've got a Bloblobber up there. You probably didn't have to give up high ground here. Remember that you are one of the longer range weapons on the team, and while the blaster itself doesn't exactly get the extra range from high ground because their projectile will go a set distance, you can at least deny the other team it. And one thing that I really like about this position for the blaster is that the way that they're going to get up to your level, like the way they're going to get up onto the platform you're on, is by swimming up the wall that's in front of you. Now, most weapons that are line of sight weapons can't hit someone while they're swimming up the wall. You can. You can get up into a range where your projectile goes down over the top of that wall, and you can prevent them from getting there and completely secure the top for your team. They have to take low ground positions if you stand up here. So that's something that I think would be powerful for you to do. And since this player that you're shooting at down there is going to back up here anyway, you dropping back in this direction is actually giving up space because they're able to back up basically for free, and you're not controlling that top side. And that's what lets the Bloblobber get up under this position. If you're shooting there earlier, you can stop the Bloblobber from ever taking this spot. Now you end up being able to take them, which is phenomenal. Low ground, to be clear, is actually, if anything, more powerful of a position for a blaster, because it's harder to see them up there, and it's not going to change their range at all, and they can still hit up over ledges and stuff, where people are usually going to feel safe. So it's not a bad thing that you're there, but I think denying the enemy team that high ground would have helped, because I think the Bloblobber does end up getting someone before you're able to get them down. No, they actually don't.
Also...
They maybe could have, but...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But the splat bomb by the... I think it was the NZAP, right? It has splat bomb?
No, it's the NZAP has a suction bomb. Is it?
But yeah, that splat bomb.
The brush is it.
Okay.
So you
I
thought that
was
splat bomb was
like,
going to force you back, and it fell down.
Yeah.
Got it. Even then, what you could do is drop off the ledge, but be right on top of the wall, so that you can get up as soon as you possibly can afterward. That's an option you have if you want to keep that high ground. So you get the one. Your teammate is able to get to the other, which is good because that brush would have been a problem for you if Lyric hadn't been there. And then we back up as our teammate is going in. I think we might just be trying to collect clams to help score with, but let's see what happens here. So yeah, your teammate is going in. Do you have any clams at this point? You have 4.
I have 4.
So if your teammate is going to make this play, I would at least, like... This play is a little risky because there are still a good number of players up and there's a lot of enemy ink in front, so I'm anticipating they're probably going to die. But what I can do here is at least keep my distance but stay close enough that if someone tries to dive them too hard, if they overcommit to fighting my teammate, I can at least trade that back and keep the numbers advantage in our favor. Because we back up to get more clams here, they go in completely alone, and while they do score, now you're no closer to the basket than you were. You're a player down now, or sorry, well, you're a player down on the engagement. You're even in numbers now instead of being up a player because you weren't there to trade back. And so now, having a power clam and having no advantage in numbers or anything like that, you're unlikely now to actually be able to get to the basket. Whereas if you had kept just your 4 clams and helped them and like traded back in this fight, your team is actually going to be able to move forward to get control of the basket. And you're going to be able to stall the basket for longer because you have individual clams instead of a power clam. The power clam can stall the basket for at most a little under 10 seconds. Those 4 individual clams, even though they score a little bit less, you can stall the basket for 12 seconds, and you're going to get all 12 of those seconds if you stall the basket consistently as you go. So that gives your team more time to get in, that keeps the basket open, that shows them, hey, this push could actually amount to something because someone's throwing individual clams and they're still going. And it also gives you more map control that way.
Yeah.
Also,
I just
I think you kind of tunnel here on objective because there is the tri-slosher standing there, and you're just like, I gotta score. So be careful about that. Like, just because you have clams and you're able to score doesn't mean you should try. You were saying?
Yeah. I just have trouble most of the time, like finding the right way to play the objective sometimes on this because I get a bit scared when I see like close range weapons like above me trying to stop me from scoring, and that's how I usually die most of the time because I'm trying not even looking at them and trying to score instead. So yeah.
Gotcha. So the way to avoid that would be to take it a little bit slower, but to fire shots at the spots that are most dangerous for them to be at. As soon as you get a hit marker, then you pause and be like, okay, there is actually someone in the way there. But if you fire a shot over the ledge and there's nobody there, and that shot just doesn't hit anything, then you can be like, okay, at least that area is safe, and I can play around the idea that that area is safe and use that to move up. You can also do things like throw a suction bomb, and that takes a lot more ink, and that's a little riskier since you're going to have to move soon, so you need to be able to fire shots, but that's also something that can guarantee even more reliably that an area that you're worried about is clear of enemy players. So, like you were doing earlier, where you're firing shots to kind of, by process of elimination, figure out where they are, here you can fire those shots to, by process of elimination, figure out, is there someone who's going to stop me from making this play? Thank you so much for the donation, Octoari. Ari says, thank you, Gem, for the team lesson for Monsters, Inc. Here's your tuition. That is... We'll definitely take what we learned today and work on it so we can show you how we've improved next time. And a heart. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate all of you. All right. Okay. So we end up, because our teammate ends up in there alone, we end up actually making that least possible. This is the lowest score you can possibly have if you have scored in Clam Blitz. And this is a situation where, like, as the tri-slosher player, sorry, it wasn't the tri-slosher, it was the blob-lobber. As the blob-lobber player, as a blob-lobber player, I probably don't want to just, like, hold forward like they did there, because that's just not what my weapon is good at. But knowing that there was a teammate there as the blob-lobber player, I would feel a little bit more comfortable trying to push for that, because I feel like I've got someone there helping me. I would probably let my teammate go in first, because I'm the objective player. It's the same deal as playing the Rainmaker. In Rainmaker, the first enemy player who sees the Rainmaker and gets in range of them is going to stop them, as a general rule. And same deal with Power Clams. The first enemy player that gets in between the Power Clam holder and the goal is going to be able to stop them, because even though they still have the use of their main weapon and their special and everything, and they're a little bit more powerful than a Rainmaker carrier, the enemy team still has wall hacks on them. The enemy team is still going to see wherever they are all the time. And it's not even like it is in Rainmaker, where the Rainmaker carrier can hide them under some specific circumstances. Like, if they haven't been seen by anyone and they're submerged in their ink, they are actually invisible to the enemy team. That icon does not show up. It's not even like that in Clam Blitz. In Clam Blitz, you just see them all the time, always. And so they are going to have an advantage. They're going to be able to set up an ambush on the clam holder. So you have to expect that they're going to get stopped. So the blob-lobber probably should have let you go in first and, like, clear that area out and fire those shots to test whether someone's there before the blob-lobber goes in, and give the blob-lobber some paint to move in with. That said, if you had supported that, then it might not have been that kind of a push, and I'm not going to put the blob-lobber's push on the same level as the push the brush made earlier. All right. That was a little tiny bit risky in that if they had gone forward and none of your team had been in position to slow them down, you dropping in from a side angle like this might allow the brush to actually just run straight through mid again. But yeah, or no, it wasn't the brush, it was the zap actually. But you do get in position, and I love that you're firing this shot in front of them. This is a situation we were talking about earlier, I think, with OctoKid, where if you're trying to stop something from moving forward, you shoot in front of it, because even if you miss, you're at least painting their feet so they have to repaint that area in front of them and they go slower. And in this particular case, you happen to get close enough that not only are you aiming it in front of them, but they run into your shots and they get splatted. So this is exactly where you want to be aiming, so that's great. And again, you're aiming in front of them, but you realize that you've hit them once and you're able to just finish it off here because they can't back up out of your sight line. This is a beautiful defense. Now it's just this brush. And the brush, that tactic doesn't work because if you aim in front of them, they're just going to brush through the paint that you put down. So with the brush, you actually do want to be aiming a little closer to center of mass. But it still works to aim a little in front of them because in all likelihood, you need to lead your shots against the brush. So you kind of still have the same mindset if just for the sake of hitting your shot.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. And your team is able to hold off the blob there. The brush did just appear on screen and run right past you. It was maybe a little bit chaotic, but that is something that you had the information to know. So yeah. Now, this kind of a game is the sort of game that makes those brush players think that this works. Because they're not scoring an awful lot. They're not keeping the basket open. This is not the kind of push that leads to an immediate KO that you will see in competitive play. Typically in competitive play, the way that Clam Blitz works is you, as a team, score one time and get no fewer than like 80 points on that score. And then it's just a question of whether the other team is able to score more on their one push. You get a lot more out of every individual time the basket is opened when you have a coordinated team. And so defense is much more strict and much more difficult. But once the offense does... the defense is more difficult to overcome. But once the offense does overcome it, an efficient push leads to them scoring an awful lot. So it's very different from the flow of the game in like this solo queue environment where people aren't closing down every angle that the brush comes in from. Like, you being able to spot the brush there means that in a competitive environment, the players see the brush and stop the brush. Another thing that happens in a competitive environment is that people are going to see what angle is not being covered by the rest of their team, and they're going to immediately go to that angle and cover it. In solo queue, they might just let something through. They might just like not enforce their zone at all if someone runs through. So those are all things that are causing this to look different than it will look in competitive play. But you want to start working towards first being able to close down all of those angles that they're running through. And that requires you having the information, knowing that the brush is going to be trying to do that, and trying to see, like, okay, there's enemy ink here, the brush could come through here, and shutting all of that down. So that's part of it. But another part of it is that when you do score, you want to have the follow-up ready to go so that you can punish them a lot harder than they're punishing you for these individual pushes. By individual, I mean that the rest of the team isn't following up on it. All right. So you do a great job of locking down the middle of the map here. You're not letting the clam through on the right. You're not letting this player through the middle. You are being an obstacle, and that is exactly what you need to do. And another thing that I like that you are doing is that you are pushing the objective line forward a little bit. You're making it so that the enemy team not only can't access the basket, but they can't access the space near the basket, because the closer, or the further away you force them, the more... Here we go. Oh, man, I keep trying to pause it at a certain moment, and I'm missing it. The more that you deny them space, the longer your team has to react in case somebody... There we go, that's a good pause. The more time your team has to react in case someone tries to challenge your zone and get to the basket. Now, one thing that you do miss here is the super jump that's coming into the top right. You go and get this player, and then you're looking over here like, where is this player? And we did have that information on our screen. Those arrows, those are something that like I've trained my brain to recognize very quickly and to make a note of very quickly. If not because you can get the pick on them right away, then at least because you can know that there's going to be a player there soon. And if you had that information, then you would probably not have pushed under the bridge like you're doing. You probably would have put yourself in a position to punish the jump. But the rest of your team has that covered at least. And we don't want to be like backtracking. We know that we've got a wipe. Forward is the direction to move. There is no place that any of them can be going. They don't have beacons to jump into. You're going to be able to have access to mid soon, and you only have that access to move freely for so long. So you want to take advantage of that opportunity you have to move as far forward as you can, to take as advanced a position as you can. And seconds matter for whether you're going to be able to take as far forward a position as you can. So instead of like backing up and wondering like, should I be going back here or anything like that? No, the answer is forward. Get forward with the rest of your team. Get some paint where you can, pick up clams where you can, but the most important thing is to establish control over a part of the enemy team's base so that you have the advantage in terms of positioning, and as soon as your team does win a fight, you're going to have access to the basket right away instead of having to fight someone again for it.
I just wasn't sure if anybody picked up the clam that I threw back there, and then I know I could probably just look up at the HUD to really see that.
Yeah. So I would say, you know, the bigger priority is just to move, because throwing an individual clam back there probably not going to have that much of an impact, especially since we can collect clams on our way there. What's more important is just, okay, forward, forward, forward. Let's get some space. Okay. So I like this positioning for you on this team. I think you are the single best weapon on your team that is best equipped to challenge the top left of the map here because of what I mentioned before, that you can shoot over the top and clear that out for yourself. So I like you being here and just kind of trying to control the top left. Unfortunately, your teammates don't recognize a fact of Clam Blitz, which is that just because you got a wipe at your own basket does not mean you're going to have time to score on their basket right away. You're going to have an advantage going towards their basket, but you need to win a fight first. And especially since they were right on top of each other and they were able to be focused by the same player, they kind of blow this before you have the opportunity to get in and support them. Now, if you take a little bit less time to get forward, if you like just paint one line here and then one shot underneath the ledge to make sure it's safe, then maybe you can get close enough up that you can at least trade after this goes down. In fact, this is a great example of how little hesitations like you had back there with the clam. This is an example of how that can have an impact. Because between that movement and you backing all the way down up to mid and having to climb up the wall again, between those two things happening, that makes the difference between you being able to be here and being able to get all the way up to the front ledge there, where you can aim down and be able to protect your two power clams. Because they might go down here, they're just running it down mid. They're not trying to be stealthy or be careful, but you might be able to be in a position to see who gets them and fire shots at them and trade this back and maybe get something back for it. So that's, again, like a pace of play thing that over time I think will have a big impact. Now, you are on top here and you have top cleared out. You know there's no one there because there's nobody shooting at you for doing this. So the wave breaker needs to get placed on the same level as the opponents are. And I don't know if maybe you were trying to and just missed a little bit and ended up on the bridge, but notice how when the waves go out, they're not actually hitting the bottom there where the clams are.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it would hit the entirety of it.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, it will go a certain distance down, but it won't go all the way down. And it'll go a certain distance up, but it won't go all the way up. It's just really this arbitrary limit that it hits where it won't go there. But yeah, you can see like it's not reaching all the way down there. So wait, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it marked them and I just am missing this here. But I don't think I physically see it move across the map. Oh, the blob is on top of the sponge. And so that's where they get hit. Got it. Okay. Because we do see it like going across the bridge to the right there, but underneath the sponge is too far down. And so that's why they get marked, but we don't see the line going through.
Yeah, and I think there was, I think the Tri-Slosher was right in front of them.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so they get in and they don't score anymore. You get a numbers advantage off of this, or you get a big numbers advantage off of this. And so this is another example of how those kinds of pushes just backfire. Like, right now, your team has an advantage. The other team did not score any additional points for it. They only got through some of their penalty. And some of their penalty, only 10 points of their penalty, not the entire penalty. I say only 10 points of their penalty because, for those who don't know how the penalties work in Clam Blitz, your penalty is equal to half of what you score. So their team scored only a power clam, only 20 points. So that means that the penalty you get is going to be half of that, which is 10. So you scored 10 points and got effectively, because you got a penalty of 10 more points on the back of it, and you didn't change any of your score remaining. Well, that just takes you from plus 23 to plus 13. That doesn't do an awful lot for you. Nice. And so this is a delayed wipe. We got 3 players, and then we got the last player after those 3 players had respawned. So this is a position where your team has a 4v3, and if they force that 4v3 fight and get another pick, then you're going to keep them staggered in that numbers disadvantage. Mm-hmm. From right here, one thing I'm very worried about is above me on this ledge, there's a bunch of pink ink, and you can see a trail that leads directly off into mid. Now, maybe this trail was made earlier, but that's something that I would immediately fire a shot at if I saw it. There doesn't end up being anybody there, but you end up being good there. But so like here, you can see because it's not all the way up on the bridge, the wave breaker actually does go all the way out into the floor of this area. So this is a really good wave breaker spot, and this actually does do a lot of damage and catch a lot of people out, and this is probably going to lead to a good push. But it was up just a little too high earlier. Oh man, there's so many clams in there. Team, follow up for us, please. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that was a really good push that we set up. And the difference between this push and most of the pushes that have happened so far in this game is that you set it up by winning a fight before you pushed. And you won that fight near the enemy basket. So let's back this up and talk about why this works so well. So the fight is happening right here, right? Because we got an advantage and we pushed up into mid and we didn't try to score right away. Okay, well, Lyric tried to score right away. But because most of us didn't go down in trying to score right away, the fight that we took was right around the enemy basket. And so as soon as we are able to win that fight, now the basket is wide open. Now we actually control the space around the basket. And that is when you're able to score a lot. You want to control the area around the enemy basket like you control the splat zone. You want to make it so that nobody can even get near that area enough to stop you from scoring. And that is how you're actually able to score a whole bunch of points, that you can just make a perimeter around the basket and keep it safe. And because you're able to get as many picks as you do here, you get the one there, and then the wave breaker gets some people marked, and so they go down. You have a 4v2, and instead of like having this 4v2 and being back at your own basket, you've earned this 4v2 near their basket, so everybody is immediately able to just move in and score a whole bunch. So you unfortunately get your feet painted, and they're able to stop you here, but then that player just holds forward into Inkstorm instead of backing up and healing themselves. So that enables your team to use that left side to get in and score a whole bunch of points, and that is a really big deal for you guys. Now, it looks like they were both trying to score at the same time instead of maybe having one player score and another player protect them, because that's really what you want to do to be able to keep the basket open as long as possible and get as many points in as possible. But even so, they get to lead, and so now we're at an advantage. Now, one thing they might have wanted, because this is a lead, which is nice, but one thing to also consider is that they don't score enough that by the time the other team scores, they haven't just like taken the lead back by putting a power clam in. They only have a penalty of 13, so they're going to score 7 points when they put a power in, and you guys only have a lead of 5. So even one more clam, even protecting that player to get one more clam in, would have made a pretty big difference. But it's still like, we got the lead back, and that's already a win. Nice direct there. They get completely stuck, and that's going to give your team an edge on the defense here. You got a player weakened down there, and so your teammate is going to drop to deal with that. What I would probably be doing here, since that player got underneath me, is I would be rotating to the left earlier so I can get an angle on them, because it looks like my teammate is just going to run off the ledge and go after them. And if I let them do that by themselves, they're dropping on a tri-slosher here, right? And so if they go into that 1v1, that's a 1v1 they're very likely to lose, especially since they're already firing in the wrong direction. So I would beeline to the left without firing another shot here, and try to get an angle on that tri-slosher so that I can deal a little extra damage and make it easier for Kitty Toes. That's a name. So, this is nice. We've got 2 down. The player you got earlier is super jumping into the top left, and there are 2 more, one of whom is in mid. So, we could... At that point, I probably would have pushed a little further up and tried to go for the direct on the player who's jumping in. Because you can threaten that player in mid with the range blaster and force them away. And as soon as you fire one shot to do that, you either hit them and splat them, or you just get a free shot on the super jump that's in the top left, and you can start pushing the advantage more. So we could have played that a little bit more aggressively to be able to get some picks, and it would have been relatively safe, knowing what we knew about the enemy team. The bomb there is what runs you out of ink, and I probably wouldn't have thrown it there. I probably would have just tried to zone using the main weapon. Let's back up.
If that was a burst bomb, it would have been a great one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because another thing about that, like you say, if it was a burst bomb, it would be good. And the reason we say that is that the fuse time is so long that this is not stopping that player from running forward if they want to. So using the main weapon here would have cut them off a little bit better. And the other thing about the suction bomb is just that it takes up so much ink. It's always something to worry about whenever you have a suction bomb with any weapon that you're running yourself out of ink. But running yourself out of ink as a range blaster is especially dangerous because it takes so long to be able to fire one more shot, and your white ink frames take so long. Man, your fire rate is doo-doo. It takes so long to get a shot out of that thing, especially if you have to charge up ink before you can fire that shot.
Yep.
So that's always something to be a little bit careful about. Really good shots there. You're keeping them back. You know, you aim a little bit more precisely, you can probably hit that direct. But I'm not complaining because even though you didn't quite hit the shot, you still accomplished everything that you needed to by firing it.
Yep.
In that situation, I say you take the shot on the tri-slosher because you're in range to do damage that way. The suction bombs, you want to lead a lot more than you're leading them. You don't want to throw them at the opponent. You want to throw them where you don't want the opponent to be a second and a half from now. So if you're going to throw a suction bomb to try and stop that tri-slosher, you're throwing it at, like, the ramp that they're trying to push toward. And that's what you're actually going to be able to stop them from getting to. Because, like, let's look at where this bomb explodes. This bomb explodes now. They're on the Rainmaker bump. Or, not the Rainmaker bump, the Clam Blitz bump, the little thing in front of you. So that's how long it took that bomb to explode. And that's how far they were able to get while you were waiting for it to explode. That's not stopping them at all. But you do end up getting somebody else with the bomb, which is cool. Because that is a good placement for the bomb in a vacuum, in the general case. Ooh, and they threw the clam, and they just barely whiffed it. And if that clam goes in, you have lost the lead with 25 seconds left. So that's very lucky that went down, and now they're going to feed in and try and go for it and die doing so. Remember earlier when I was talking about how I like that you were pushing forward and taking progressively more and more space away? Here I would want you to be doing the same thing. Your two teammates have the top right side covered, But if the NZAP were to try and zip and zoop through the ink in front of you, the pink ink in front of you, they don't have to go very far before they get onto the Rainmaker pedestal. Or I keep saying the Rainmaker pedestal, the Clam Blitz hump. And that would be in range of you. So I would be trying to fire some shots and take up a little bit more space on the way forward.
And that's the same problem that happens like around here, because I should have just been playing Rainmaker and getting in between the bump and where they want to score. So.
So you do a really good job of getting the pick on the Tri-Slosher, and that's exactly what you needed to continue doing. You see that there is an opponent that is in your zone that cannot hit you. You take the shots on that player, and you enforce that zone. So you enforce your zone here, and that's awesome. As soon as anybody else enters your zone, though, you still need to be there and firing at them. So, like here, this clam carrier is in your range now, and we need to be firing shots here. So they're able to make it in, and it's overtime, and so they're able to win it. So unfortunate there. I think this was a phenomenal match for highlighting the theory of Rainmaker, for talking about how Clam Blitz pushes... Did I say Rainmaker again? Holy moly. I am so sorry to those of you who are listening back to this thinking you're having a stroke. This really shows the theory of Clam Blitz off very well, in that you need to exert control over the area around the basket. Anywhere that someone can throw a clam from is someplace you need to control, or else they will score. And so denying them access to that zone is the next priority afterward. So instead of like killing them if they're in that zone, you need to make it so that it's unsafe for them to ever enter that zone, and that's the next priority. And then after that, you push forward and push forward and push forward towards the enemy team's basket, and ultimately you seek to gain control of the zone around the enemy basket. And that's when you're able to score. And a lot of players at lower levels, especially, making those kinds of brush plays, will neglect the gain control of that zone part, and will just try to rush the clam in, hoping that the enemy team doesn't enforce their zone. And since at lower levels the enemy team is less likely to enforce their zone because they're just less experienced and maybe didn't catch something, they missed some information they needed to be paying attention to, or they weren't covering every angle. Because the enemy teams don't enforce their zones at lower levels, they get away with plays that they would normally not be able to make because those zones are under the enemy team's control. But as time goes on, those will get enforced more and more, and those plays will fall off. So, do you have any questions for me?
I mean, not really. I kind of understand, like, looking back at it after sleeping on it, I can understand some of the things I did get wrong. Some of the things I did get right, which were, firing ahead of people, making sure that my zone is, like, completely filled, or it's more advantageous for me to stay within my range that has a very good zone hold because of how big my blast radius is.
Yeah, and that was something, if I remember correctly, we talked about a lot on the previous VOD review. Where there were shots that were being fired that, like, weren't cutting off options that the opponents had to move. And there's definite improvement that I am seeing, even, this soon after that VOD review in that aspect. So good job to you for working on that. And there's still, some work to be done on that, but it is improving for sure. And that's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
So I think what I'll do next is I'm going to play a round on Range Blaster and kind of narrate my thought process. And if we've got some time after that, then maybe we can play a match together.
Yeah.
All right. So we still want to stay, and I think LDE would be a good one because we don't want to run out of ink. And then we'll do...
Or we could VOD review the private battles we had with the... what was their team name again? I forgot.
Yeah, with Monsters, Inc. We...
Yeah.
we could look at that, but we only have about, 13 minutes left. And I think in that time, we're not going to be able to get very far. So I'll probably leave off on that for now. But one thing I am going to do really quickly is go and grab a little something to eat. And I'll just grab a granola bar for now and eat lunch after this is all done. But I'm getting a little bit hongy. So I'll be right back.
Hongy. All right.
Yeah. Food, glorious food. All right. I'll threaten some of my rank points for the cause here.
Oh boy.
Rainmaker is a little bit different in how we're gonna play than Clams. Splat Zones is a lot more similar. It's a lot more about zoning.
Yep.
It's not a great map for a blaster, just in that a blaster doesn't paint a lot, but Wavebreaker is going to be good on it, and it's more similar to what we were talking about, and so it'll be more illustrative for us, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I did look, not to really talk about gear that much, but I did look on the website. I forgot what the website was called again. I'm forgetting.
Sendu.inc.
Yep, I was looking at that, and I saw that a lot of them had quick respawn because they know they have to rely on their shots, I'm guessing, to really get splats. And if they are not getting splats, then what use are they to the team? So they might as well be able to be alive faster or longer to keep zones out of the way.
I was reading something that Isaac posted. Isaac being top-level blob-lobber player, the best blob in North America as far as I'm aware. Their take on quick respawn was that you use it if you expect that you're likely to go down, so that it's a little of an insurance policy. And I could definitely see the range blaster potentially going down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes it just gets stuck. There's not much it can do. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use the threat here to clear plat, because they really are pretty far up considering that we have so much control right now. And I can just take these shots really safely here and give my frontline time to get up. Now I have to back up because that player cannot be allowed to get in range of me. And we're able to clean it up because we're playing it safe. And I overstayed my welcome because everyone else on the team was dead, so I was the only one they had to look at. So that's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime that you get the opportunity to use the chance to hit over ledges, definitely valuable. I'm going to wait just a second because I want to pop this Wavebreaker, but I'm seeing that we don't have numbers to follow up on it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But here we go. Now it's out on zone, and that should start clearing some space for us. There we go. We're going to just threaten them a little bit. I'm not going to commit super hard to that fight. I'm going to keep myself behind cover if I can. I probably actually could have stayed up there. I didn't realize that the bubbler was going up until it was too late. That's the 52. Okay, good. We take them out because they were already damaged. Woo! Oh, man, I didn't see the suction bomb because it was in the middle of the whale, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever else was over there. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, the speaker was in front of it.
So there's a dynamo over on the right, and I'm making sure that I don't contest that from an angle that they can hit me from. This is a little risky, but I bet I can get this. Yeah, I forced them over into my team, and even though that's a trade, we still take them out, so I'm still somewhat happy with that.
Oh boy.
I'm going to put that there, and I think that goes up over the top and hits their plat. And it's especially annoying for them to be able to deal with because they have to hit underneath the ledge to stop it. And I use cover from the Hydra here while they have charge, and then I go in when they are out of charge. And now we've got lead, and we've got control of their plat. I should be able to jump into this junior here and still be somewhat safe, although I'm worried about the Hydra looking at this. Okay, the Hydra pops Booyah Bomb. And the Hydra does not know that we're here, so we just get this free pick. Hydra's out of there. We're forcing... Oh, no. 52
Yeah,
saw me coming.
52. Yeah.
I was super close. If the team collapses on the right-hand side while that's happening, I bet we win, but there wasn't enough pressure on them on the right for them to really have a reason not to look at me. So
Bladder shot's height.
So I'm working around the splatter shot here. I know that they've got their special, and if I had ink, they would be dead. There we go. I'm cutting off the dynamo from taking this angle. I'm lucky they didn't splat me there, but
Yeah.
we still got them. You know, we wouldn't have had them either way. Okay, there's one. Those are just some free shots that you can throw up there whenever you feel like. And we hit him once. Nice. Okay, let's put this here as well. Oh, it doesn't look like it is going up over the wall. That's annoying. I thought it would.
Yeah.
Ah! Okay, we got one.
Interesting angle. they
Teammate
made.
actually came up and saved me there. That was a really good play from the junior. They're coming in from this side here, so I'm starting to focus my attention there now. But I'm also keeping my eye on mid just in case anyone tries to run in from there in time. And we were able to get it.
Nice. Yeah, it was mostly just. I hate saying that mostly just the map here, but mostly the zone, being able to have all of that paint behind you is really good. And playing basically around the fact that they have they're going to the same spots and you can actually see where they're going is a lot more advantageous for the blaster because you know where they're probably going to go and where they want to go. So
All right. And you still have me added, I believe, so you can hop in on an Anarchy open match here. We'll use the same password that we used earlier. Look at those happy cows.
Well, I just posted a fresh on your Anarchy battle.
I don't have experience with blasters enough to give advice on exact playstyle. All I can do is point out when a direct is nice.
Directs are
I mean, that's
satisfying.
all you need as a commentator, really. Like, let's be real here. What else are we doing out there? Teaching people about the game? Who does that?
Yeah, kind of cringe, honestly.
Nobody came to be educated. What was this supposed to be, like some kind of Splatoon school?
I don't know.
It's a game. It's for the cool kids, for the fresh kids who skip school.
Yeah, that club that happens after school.
Oh,
Maybe I'll try
there.
some and oh yeah. I don't think I can cancel. I'll just close the game.
I think you'll end up in getting a comm error as well. That's usually how it goes, but
I just closed the game, just in case I did get matched up.
did you like close the game entirely or just go on
Yeah.
sleep mode? Oh, okay. Sleep mode. Just tap the power button. It'll go on sleep mode, and you will start up without having to go through all of the menuing, and you'll just end up in the lobby again.
Okay.
So, I'll be right back while you're getting yourself back in.
Virgin or Mako? Sturgeon is gonna be a bit of a problem. Mako is okay. Oh, it's a Rainmaker, that's why.
All right, I'm back.
Yay. So it's Sturgeon and Mako, or Mako, whatever. I feel like Sturgeon might be a tiny bit of a problem for me, but I know that's a lot better for you.
Do you play other weapons besides the range blaster that you would use to address that problem?
I use Splash, I think.
Oh, okay.
Trying to think. I do play a tiny bit of Flingza, but that's only if, like, I'm kind of desperate.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mostly just do Splash and range.
Okay. Well, this can't be a bad map for range, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, Mako was... I was fine with that.
Cool. Alright. Pop might be tricky here. They've got a lot of shooters. I don't think we're gonna get it. Unless we get there
Just
faster.
watch...
Yeah,
the
we
junior's
lose it at
probably
this
gonna
point.
rush me.
Got one.
Nice. Gain a bit of your feet here. Nice, we have two.
Okay.
Oh, below? Yeah, he's dead.
We probably wanted to take it left.
Yeah,
instead.
52's behind.
I hit him once. They're down. There's someone
We're
left.
just walking in.
We're just waiting for them to do that.
Yeah.
Someone dropped right. I hit him twice. I'm down. Gal, my ouch.
Yep. Got him.
Nice.
They're taking rain right. No, they went mid. Got him.
Nice.
Wiper's low. Rainmaker's popped and nobody has it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, we got it.
There's nobody who has access to it on the other team, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay,
We
nice.
got Hero. We're going left. Oh no.
Yeah, that was not where
I
the
don't
team
have ink.
had pressure, so
Yeah.
it's not the greatest decision from our teammate there, but
Alright.
left is the direction we generally want to go when we can. This should be safe. Come on over the top. Okay.
Oh, 52
Shotgun me,
behind,
shotgun
yeah.
me. Ah. Yeah, we're trying to get everybody pushing in the same direction here, and it hasn't happened yet. So we've kind of gotten stuck as soon as we've tried.
Rain's
They've
going
got a lot
left
of
here.
power up in front, and we're popping a tank, but I don't think we're going to be able to live that. 52
Got
is
rain.
down.
Got two.
Nice,
Got
that's
two.
three. Nice. Last one on me. Last one on me. Got him.
Nice.
I'm picking up.
Yep.
Ah. A little bit there. Okay. So now I'm not going to pick up the second time. I need to use the special, and I'm
Yeah.
going to be able to.
I have
control
wave.
better.
I'm placing it down over in this
Okay.
corner. Oh,
What got us?
I got
from up
traps.
there.
It was the Stamper. Nice.
Yeah, Stamper's going to get me. Or Wiper.
Yeah.
Jumping into Mars here.
Got rain again. That's kind of fruitless.
Okay, we got one.
Wiper's next to it.
Wiper's
Jumping in on you.
stuck. Got him.
Nice. Play up a bit more. Oh, 52 above. Tagged. Got him. Wiper's right side. He's down below.
I see it.
Oh, I got Trizu good. Still behind you guys in mid on right side.
Got one.
Yeah, he's still in mid. They know I'm here with the.
That's fine. There's nobody in position to do anything about it.
Yeah, left side. They bubbled left side.
Wiper on left
I
side.
know.
Oh, I didn't get him.
Yeah. Above. Wipers on me. He's tagged.
Maybe
Nice.
should get rain here. Okay, good stuff.
Nice. I'm gonna paint a bit of mid once.
Shot is right stack. I'm gonna see if I can shark him.
Yeah. I tagged him. Yeah, Zukud.
Got him.
I have wave there. Nice.
2 on right stack. 3 on right
Yep.
stack. Got one.
We popped.
Got two.
Nice. Nice.
Got 3. That's white.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
So we just paint forward for this. It's just the 52s in the way.
Yep.
Ideally, what
They have
happens
armor.
there is we get paint down before the Rainmaker has to fire a shot because they move a lot slower if they have to
Oh, we
fire.
get.
But
Yeah.
it was still a really good push. We get to 18, and that's right with like 20 seconds left. So they have one more chance, and they have to get a checkpoint plus a lot.
We're going left. I'm sharking a bit.
Zuking? Oh my god, and I completely whiffed. There we go, we got him. That's
Watch
game.
left side. I tagged left side. Nice. Ooh.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the, choosing me for the lesson. And hope you learned something from it. And hope you all on stream learned something from it. I am going to actually be streaming again later on today. And, of course, my camera's frozen. Beautiful. It's probably been like that for a long time. You know what? You're just going to hear it from me as a PNG tuber. Oh, no, I'm gone. So I'm going to be streaming again later today at Check's time. I think we're starting at 6 because I think the 5 o'clock had to cancel. Let me double check that. I'm saying that in Central Time. Yes. Okay. So there was a scrim that got recorded that we were going to look at, but the recording got corrupted, unfortunately. So we're going to have to reschedule that one. But we will be doing another team lesson starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. So that's 5 p.m. Pacific time. And those of you in the middle, just do a simple subtraction. Okay, it's not that hard. And we'll be, same kind of lesson that we were doing for Octo Ari's team for Monsters Inc. earlier. So if you want more of this, definitely stop back in 3 hours. But I need to take a break and get some food and do a couple of other things. So I'm going to be shutting down the stream for the time being. But for now, let us go and find a raid target.
Right. Yeah. I don't understand how I outpainted the roller, but we take those.
Neither of them paint especially well.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go and repay the favor to It's Ahmed, because It's Ahmed rated me the other day. So it'd be good to stop by and say hi.
Yeah.
Here we go, everybody. School's out, at least. This is recess, okay? We've got a few break periods in a row, but we'll be back, remember, in a little under 3 hours now. So see you there, everyone.